All right. Here we go.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. As always, I'm Brad, that's Mike, and Kyla.
Hello.
We're Dallas Geek. How y'all doing on this wonderful New Year's Day?
Brad, I'm sleepy. That's why I'm like coddling my Red Bull like it's a life juice, because apparently staying up till midnight is not something for people in their 30s to do. So anymore.
You just turned 30.
I'm in my 30s though, so let me have this.
I'm
Thank
35 and I can't remember the last time I did not make it to midnight. I have a tradition, okay?
Do you sleep through the new year?
Oh, no.
No?
I was up same time I always am this morning, but no, I was up till like 2 this morning.
No,
Yeah.
thank you. This is
Just doing the same thing I always do.
children.
Try to take over the world of Warcraft.
You don't play World of Warcraft.
I know, but it sounds a lot thematically better than to say I was trying to take over the world of the Old Republic, which is literally what I do every year on New Year's
That's
Eve.
what you're like. You can say that then. That's fine.
Yeah,
like,
but it doesn't flow as well, you know?
Space Empire. Just say that instead.
But I'm the Republic.
Space Empire. Like, you can still have an empire as the Republic. No?
I guess.
How you doing over there?
know.
I'm good. I'm great.
Yeah. Do you feel like an
2022
old man
was a
yet?
Good year.
Oh,
Why was
yeah.
it a good year? Because, Brad,
Oh, no.
for the first time since 2018, the U.S. men's soccer team was back in the World Cup.
Okay, that's where we're going.
That's
All
right,
right.
baby. That's right. I'm taking over the show.
I thought that he was about to go something super political, and I was really worried because you're not beside him this time to keep him reined in.
No, they didn't.
I assume Twitter.
No, I don't think he's into Elon Daddy like that. Like,
Oh, no.
Have you met him?
yes.
What's happening with Twitter is probably one of the best things to happen to social media.
Yes. I mean, I agree. I love the dumpster fire of dumpster fires that it has become. Without question.
I genuinely don't really care about people sharing their constant brain thoughts. Like, so.
Well, no,
No.
I just like that.
Like-
I just like that it's breaking up the monotony that Silicon Valley has on the political industry and social media in general.
I mean, that's fair enough. I still don't really care. Facebook already has enough people dumping their brain thoughts. I don't need a what is it, 240 character limit now to also do that on. Never really
Well,
wanted to.
you know,
never really
I'm
had.
personally more of a fan of the fact that for the first time in recent history, you have the most obvious example to all the Elon fanboys that Elon is not actually a genius. He's just been very, very lucky, and in reality, he's kind of dumb about business and completely detached from the way that technology actually works for people that aren't in his economic echelon.
His I don't know.
Oops.
Like, how many hours of sleep does he get a night?
It's like 4 or 5.
I think he operates on 4, doesn't he? Like,
I mean, does it really matter if he loves to try to claim that he sleeps in the office all the time? I feel like at that point, you're just... Take a vacation, dude. It's okay.
Well, I think at that point he's just being an honest CEO, which I think we wish more people would do.
Elon Musk and honest? Since when?
I mean, did you see
You
the
said
Twitter
it
file? Did you see the Twitter file leaks that he put out?
Yeah. It was literally a whole lot of nothing.
If that's what you want to call nothing.
Aside from just showing how
Totally
disorganized
mismanaged
the
it
Twitter
previously
inner
was?
workings
No,
has been?
I'm talking about how.
Oh no, I know what you're talking
intertwined the
about.
Government
But that
was
wasn't
with Twitter
actually what
to
it showed.
throttle-
But you know,
no, it absolutely
different
did.
conversation. Guys, now that we are officially into the swing of things, probably should have done this a lot sooner.
Oh, shillings?
No.
Oh, okay.
The tagline. We are Dallas Geek, your source for all of the latest nerdy news and geek culture.
There you go.
You know.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess
branding.
that needs,
It's branding. It's branding.
That's being needs to be thrown in.
So, yes, we are here for New Year's Day, and we are going to be doing something a little bit different than usual. Today, we are going to enjoy our look back on this past year.
Enjoy.
Enjoy.
There you go. There's
We'll
our
enjoy parts of it.
So, we do this just about every year, either right before or right after the new year.
True.
But this time, we have drinks.
Well,
So
this time.
we are
had drinks
just
last year too.
Did we?
Yeah, we always have drinks.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought that
This
was
time
for
it's just
Christmas
during the
one.
day.
Ah,
It's just this time during the day.
fair.
We're
fair.
day drinking. It's fine.
And you've slept since
Well-
then, so you just don't remember.
We are millennials, so day drinking is just a acceptable pastime.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh.
It's just instead of drinking the New Year's Eve away, we're drinking the day away because it's day drinking. So
Indeed.
because we're all have to go back to work tomorrow. I mean, air
Anyway.
quotes. Do you have to go back to work tomorrow?
Tuesday.
Ugh.
Well, I mean, technically a little bit tomorrow, but no.
I have words for you, but it's PG-13, so I can't
Technicalities.
say those words. It's fine.
Technicalities.
You get one F-bomb.
Well, we have a censor button here. Feel free to play with it.
Excellent.
That's what she said?
All right, so sorry. Continue.
So, yeah, we are going to be jumping in to our look back on 2022. Yet again, another dumpster fire of a year. And we are going to look at the good, the bad, and the meh that was, well,
Do we have any men?
We had a lot of meh.
we lost Betty White. Well, that's a bad. I guess the meh is more, we lost the Pope?
Well, a pope, not the pope. I will die on that hill.
Wait, I thought
But hey, we still had the Pope hat.
I
so-
thought pedophiles dying was a good thing.
You had
Well-
to go there. You sent it there.
Too real?
Okay, that's
If
that's
we-
the thing that's happening.
If we're just going to ignore all of the allegations for the Catholic Church over the years, I mean,
Wait, hold on,
I'm
what
sorry,
are they?
folks.
no, we are not going to normalize that shit.
The button.
Hi. Sorry for your ears.
You have to,
but we are back.
push the button if you're going to say language like that.
Language or controversial topics of.
Wait, it's controversial that we want people like that to die?
No. It's just to discuss it on the YouTubes.
So sorry.
It
Oh.
is. We don't want to upset the
Did I go
overlords.
too far with the M word?
We don't want to upset the overlords.
Overlords.
No, well, not the lizard people. Well, I mean, we are also live on
lizard
Facebook,
I have
so
some.
the lizard people.
I have a player
part.
that have some boots that give me +1 intimidation to lizard folk. So should I just borrow those from him, or
Yeah, we
I
could
feel
just send
like, yeah.
Richard. We could just send Richard after him.
we do need Richard? We need Salty's boots. If you could, please turn on top when we take over the lizard folks.
Well, a little bit of shilling for not us, but I am enjoying my new Christmas shirt from our wonderful friend of the show, Jeff Balke.
Very nice.
That whole animated, cartoon animation thing that he's was talking about the last time we got to interview him for the show. Well, Stanley the Squirrel has been going strong for a while, and now he has a Christmas variant.
Aw, very exciting.
It's wonderful.
we like,
And
we like
honestly,
seeing our friends of the
very-
show grow.
Very soft shirt. Like, this is a wonderful, wonderful
Oh,
shirt.
that is a nice shirt. Very nice. Very nice quality. We need to get you one.
Yeah. So after we're
good
done
over
with
there?
the live, I'll make sure to link him down in the bio if you want to be able to check out more of what he has, because this is just one of several options. But yeah, no, Jeff Balke,
Good stuff.
great artist.
Indeed.
So jumping
I was about to say,
into
where do we want to start, Brad?
well, for the absolute shit show that was
You didn't
2022.
push the button.
Yeah, that's
We can
okay.
say shit. That's fine.
PG-13 language is fine.
Yep.
It's when you start going into the R territory or Quentin Tarantino territory.
There you go.
That
Have you heard of
we don't.
Racial slurs? Those aren't okay?
No.
No.
I had to even process it. You asked that question.
There we go. So let's go ahead and dive into what I know you are dying to discuss, which is relatively recent news as of a week ago. Mike, Mike,
Brad.
your favorite person in the whole wide world behind J.J. Abrams?
I don't know if it's behind. I think it's in front of.
Really? He has done so much more sucking up to J.J. Abrams than anybody else. I feel like
Because JJ has come out with more stuff that he can suck up to in recent times.
if you really say that JJ is not number one on your list ahead of James Cameron, I will be shocked.
Who is your number one?
I mean,
Is it Cameron or is it Abrams or is it someone else?
it's probably neither of those.
Well, who is it
Spielberg
then?
doesn't count.
Spielberg.
Spielberg's the gimme. So
No,
we assume-
not after the conversation that I had the other night with Zim, where I called him to task for making movies where he basically was just, I don't know.
It was a heated 45-minute discussion.
So yet again,
Which is 45 minutes longer than Babylon should have been.
But anyway, so what's
another
news?
friend of the show, David. If you guys have seen our Halloween episodes, you will remember David.
Zim.
And if you're watching this, I am so sorry. Feel free to text
What are you sorry
or
for?
call Mike to berate him while we're live. If you're watching, just go for it.
That's fine. He can be wrong now, just like he was wrong then
Oh my
when he
gosh.
said that Spielberg's never done anything for the money. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, anybody?
What's that?
Exactly.
I have never heard of this movie.
But
Or
anyways,
he bashes somebody like J.J. Abrams.
It is a movie, right?
It is.
Like this isn't like some short story he wrote.
But he bashes
It's something like that.
he bashes The Force Awakens and J.J. Abrams for being unoriginal, but then loves Colin Trevorrow in Jurassic World.
Well,
Which, I'm sorry, if
Damn
I
it,
haven't
David.
seen anything that was a circle jerk off to something that had come before it, I've never have.
okay.
Okay, wait, well,
But yes, we're talking
Avatar
about
2.
So we're talking about Avatar.
Avatar.
Avatar. So Avatar 2
Pocahontas
dropped,
told
and
me
it's
people.
already hit $1 billion
In 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks. That 2.5, give or take. Which is pretty impressive considering, the fact that it was trending to not do so well overseas, but now it is picking up steam overseas.
Yes.
Domestically, I think it just crossed 400 or 450 million. So, I mean, it still has to make $2 billion to
Break
a
even.
profit.
Yeah.
But I think
It was
it's
what? It was $3 billion to build to break even, and everything above that was
$2 billion to break
2
even.
billion break
$2
even.
billion to break even. But wasn't it that if it wasn't up to $5 billion, that the ratio of what Hollywood currently considers to be acceptable profit to cost wouldn't technically be hit?
Right. Something on
Like,
something
the
on-
insane number
it's
of being
an
the
obscene number of
literally
zeros behind
the
it.
literal best earning movie of all time, even accounting for inflation.
Yeah, and look, is it an original story? No. No.
I like the second one
When was
better
the
than
last
the
time he
first
had
one.
an original story?
Probably Titanic, and that wasn't very original.
Technically, that wasn't original. That was just good.
It was good. It was good. Which,
So,
by the way,
so
do you
what
know
you
that
can
they're
crap on? You can't.
you know that they're re-releasing Titanic on Valentine's Day in
They are
4K?
doing that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But you can crap on Tim Burton for having unoriginal thoughts, but James Cameron is okay.
Yes, because what has Tim Burton done that's to the level of Cameron?
Anything that's still culturally
Edward
relevant.
Scissorhands.
Oh, that's cool. That's had a cultural relevance to the level of Terminator? No. Terminator 2? No.
If you're talking
Aliens?
about emo,
No.
if you're talking about emo and
Have
goth
you-
kids, I
have
feel
you-
like they'd argue
Hi.
too on that one.
Emo
Have
and
you met
goth
me?
kids nowadays don't even know what actual Tim Burton movies are.
They
I
know
would
what the
disagree.
Tim Burton aesthetic is without question.
Right, because it's in every movie.
Well, also because
'Cause that's
it's
his
also
signature.
the I'm blanking on it. Store, mall.
Hot Topic.
There it is. Gimmicky. I was about to say gimmicky. Yeah.
Like pretty much
the
everything
Hot
that I'm wearing
Topic-
currently.
It's
from
the Hot Topic aesthetic.
Yes. I mean, that's fair.
Honestly, they should. They really should owe him some royalty. Honestly, I feel like they wouldn't exist without him.
Well, just the number of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff they have, like in general, year round.
Right, and that wasn't even Tim Burton.
It's a story.
It was not.
Just wasn't directed
It's
by
his-
him.
Right.
Which
It's his poem.
is funny because the actual director has
Andrew
become
Selick.
quite offended that everybody forgets that was actually his movie because Tim Burton keeps getting first billing.
Because
it's Tim Burton's
A
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Exactly. Which
It's his
I
poem.
feel for him.
Which,
I do.
absolutely.
you and I watched the movies that make us.
I know.
Tim Burton didn't really have too much to do with the entire creative process.
he wrote the poem,
behind that
though.
movie.
Hey,
That's why
hey,
it's Tim Burton's.
hey. Batman owes a lot to Tim Burton.
Tim Burton's Batman can eat a bag of. Go ahead and hit it.
I will still
those who can
argue
lip read
that
at home.
I will still argue that without Tim Burton's Batman, we would not have gotten Batman the animated series because the aesthetic was so heavily influenced. So at the very least,
Done on
at
black
the very
paper,
least,
even.
he influenced the greatest bit of Batman media of all time.
But yet it was actually more true to the character than anything that he put on.
I'm starting to think he only keeps this argument going because he knows
He was more
arrested.
true to the character of Batman than Rian Johnson was to the character of anything Star Wars.
Yeah. But that's not saying much.
No, he was more true than J.J. Abrams was to anything Star Wars.
No.
Oh yeah,
No.
we'll have this argument later.
That's fine.
But nonetheless,
yes,
so
Avatar 2.
it has broken $1 billion.
It is absolutely massive hype, massive spectacle.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I don't honestly.
He has 2
intend to.
children.
Really?
Look, watching.
I liked it better than the first
Watching
one.
Fern Gully 3, the few times I did, was fun enough, but I don't feel like watching Fern Gully 4 with the extended director's opinions. I don't feel like that.
I don't know.
I'm good.
I personally liked the second one way better than the first one. Like, in all honesty.
I've heard that a lot, that most people like the second one, but I've also heard a lot of people say that they liked the second one more than the first because the B plot gave them more to latch on to than the single plot of the first movie. Yeah. So it was more substance this time because of that.
There's definitely more substance
Not necessarily better substance, just more of it.
I would say still better substance.
I'd say it's better substance.
Really?
And visually,
I'm
it's
hoping,
actually... It's
No,
actually-
visually I understand.
Well, I'm saying,
Yeah.
and visually, it's even more incredible than the first one.
Oh,
There's
no,
a couple little kind of side comments that they make that I want them to go through like a whole movie for. I don't want to spoil it because I want to give. It's only been out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Give people a chance to see it. But there's a couple of things with the kids that they kind of just touch base on, and I want them to go further into in future movies. So
Hasn't he already said that number 3 and 4 are going to be increasingly more focused on the kids?
I think so.
Which is why he had said that he filmed, what was it, 2 and 3, or 2, 3, and 4?
2 and 3 are...
Simultaneously?
2 and 3... 3 is like 90% done.
Okay.
Is it coming out next year, right?
No.
2 years?
So he's basically
2.
said like 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And then-
he was trying to avoid the Stranger Things kids effect.
Right.
With the too much aging between
Yeah.
iterations, which...
Well,
okay, cool.
a pandemic also doesn't help where, there
I
has
mean,
to be a 2-year
You
gap.
can't say the P word.
No,
What P words can I not say?
No, he can say the P word, he just can't say the PL word.
Profit and loss?
It's P.
Because that's just a shitty documentary. Sorry, documentary.
Right, so we can't say
Mockumentary.
that it was made in a lab? Even though there's...
all been fully officially confirmed.
It depends on who you ask.
I mean, if we ask your Lord and Savior, I'm sure we'd get some very interesting opinions.
I mean, I don't know who my Lord and Savior is, but I do know that there was a certain president that, back in February of 2020
Cheeto
was saying
president.
that it was made in a lab and
Orange
everybody
president.
thought he was president.
The Oompa
It was
Loompa.
crazy.
The
Peach from James and the Giant Peach.
The one who drank too much. Oh gosh, what is it? Is it too much
Happy juice?
splurge? Hold on, no tang. You drink too much.
Oh,
Say splurge? Are you talking about the frickin' Futurama over there?
No,
I
that's Surge.
needed
Oh,
to
that
get.
is Surge,
I needed
yeah.
to get there. Give me a second. But
Spud
drink
McKenzie.
too much.
Splurge is something very different.
But drink too
Well,
much tang.
it's almost something very different.
Well, Tang is also something that could be completely different too.
Eh.
Yeah.
And there's a.
Just get rid of the R and you got something.
There you go.
Anyway,
But I also think that Avatar's box office is also speaking to there isn't a big drive people to the theaters movie this holiday.
no, there's not.
No.
But
It was everybody thought it was going to be Babylon, and that turned out to be a piece of shit.
well, I don't think everybody thought it was going to be Babylon.
I wouldn't say Babylon was a piece of shit. It was
think
just it was intense. Was the problem?
It was 45 minutes too long.
It had too much muchness.
It made Avatar 2 look like it was tightly edited and pasted, or edited and pasted.
Since we're on Babylon, like, to give you an idea, I was like, okay, let me check what time it is, and I checked and it was 8:20. I was like, okie dokie. So I put my phone down, continued watching the movie. I was like, okay, how much time do I have left? And I looked at my phone and it was 8:45, and I wanted to cry. That only 25 minutes had passed. I was like, oh my gosh, why?
I mean, I don't know if everybody was expecting Babylon to be the big blockbuster, because, I mean, looking at who's involved with it.
Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie.
You know, who's the director again?
Damien Chazelle, the
director of Whiplash and La La Land.
Yeah. So, a lot of people were thinking that, but I think when you really look at, it was Damien's movie, you had all these big names. I think everybody, or a lot of people at least, were looking at that as this could be a blockbuster hit, or this could just be one massive Hollywood.
It's definitely a circle jerk.
And that's really...
He just said it!
He also pushed the button!
Oh, I didn't see that, I'm sorry.
Do I have to,
Yes!
The censor button.
No, as much as I even love Tobey Maguire, and I really enjoy 95% of everything that I've seen him in, his whole part in the movie was
20 minutes too long.
It was unnecessary.
What was that? What was the gambling movie with
21?
No, the gambling movie with
Oceans?
Why am I suddenly blanking on her name? Redhead, not Bryce Dallas Howard.
Jessica Chastain.
There it is. The Jessica Chastain gambling. Was it Molly's Game? I think.
Oh, the one where she was the lawyer.
No, where.
I think she was the lawyer, wasn't she?
Keep talking.
She was the one that actually ran the
oh
circle.
Yeah. I know which one you're. Yeah.
I feel like it was.
That was Aaron Sorkin, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Great movie, by the way.
That's what I've heard.
I loved it.
And Jessica Chastain is hotter than she gets credit for, too. And she's an amazing actress.
Oh, fantastic.
She was fantastic in Zero Dark Thirty.
We're
2019, 2018?
Yeah, it was like 2018, 19.
X-Men?
Molly's Game, there it is.
Yeah, it's
17. Okay.
So Molly's Game. Okay.
I mean, we can talk about how great of an actor Tobey Maguire is all we want, but, I mean, considering the fact that the giant douche of the movie was supposedly based on Tobey Maguire, since he was one of the big names that came out from her arrest and as part of the whole gambling thing.
Yeah.
And from all accounts of that, apparently he's a just massive. I don't know, good actor.
Can we call him a Richard without having to censor it?
Oh, yes.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. But that's disrespectful to Richard, though. We like Richard.
Well, it depends on the Richard.
Nixon?
I mean, King
Well,
Richard
we like
had
your Richard. The chocolate bear.
Of course.
I mean, there's
Like-
King Richard, which, if you want to get real historical.
keep
movie.
my wife's... Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I mean, that technically happened this year. We watched Will Smith assault a man on live television at the Oscars.
We got banned from the
And then
Oscars for
cry
10
about it
years.
later, yes.
Well, and then, all of the...
Memes and comments and...
Well, the train wreck of that relationship came to light. There was so much infidelity that they...
Came to light? Came to light?
I mean,
They basically had to
it's
turn it
been
into
going
a-
around for a while.
Yeah, she's kind of a piece of trash, but...
Okay, anyways. What's the next
But that
topic?
also... But,
Well,
but I mean, but if
Scientology aside.
You wanna, but I mean, if you want, but I mean, if you want to get... If you want to get
Which,
bigger...
speaking of, did we hear?
Did Tom Cruise fix his teeth?
No, leader of Scientology. Was it David Cabbage or whatever?
Yeah, what about him?
It's gone missing.
That sounds about right for Scientology.
Missing. Probably the same place where his wife went missing.
Yeah. But no, but I think the whole Will Smith thing too,
Concerns.
the whole Will Smith thing also
I
brought
swear
up.
if it comes out that that Tommy Cruise ended up ordering a hit on him, that would be amazing.
But I think
Man's insane enough.
I also think the whole thing with Will Smith got to a point too where you're then they turned it into memes and it's oh wow, so
About the con.
somebody that's
Yeah.
actually having a mental health breakdown in public we're gonna make fun of. That's really cool.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
There's a lot about the whole Will Smith situation.
Well, and just this stigma around men, like, well, men need to talk about it. Well, when we do, you make fun of us and ridicule us and call us bitches and this and that. And it's like,
anybody that was that's on Twitter, that's actually been one of the big talking points since the Will Smith thing. Is a bunch of guys have started to make the point to say, hey, everybody wants to talk about men's health and men's mental health. And, we just need to talk about it. But every guy that has gone on there to talk about their experience with that has said that the moment they tried to get vulnerable, it didn't go well, even from the people they're closest with.
Which is frustrating.
So, I mean,
it shouldn't be like that.
No. But society needs to do better.
In many ways, yes.
Yeah.
So, enough with the heavy topic.
So, we'll see.
Let's get into the biggest troll on Sony Entertainment of all time, Morbius.
Did you even see it?
I didn't see it.
It's Morbin time.
Does he actually? No,
No,
that's not said in the movie. Please no.
So that is literally the meme that everybody.
Okay, I was like, please don't tell me. Like,
no, it's that
I had
the
concerns.
meme became that it's Morbin time so much that what was it? It was either Matt Smith or why am I having such a hard time with the name? Say Jared Leto. One of them actually had to take a minute during an interview to think back if that was actually something that was said in the movie. But no.
That's insane.
But I think
the fact that they got trolled so much about it with all the memes that they re-released it in theaters just to get twice in a row some of the worst box office numbers of all time. Twice in 1 year. That's amazing.
The initial run was decent at the box office.
The initial run was pretty miserable.
Was it?
Yeah, and then it came back with all the memes, and for some reason the Sony execs thought that meant people loved it, so they re-released it in theaters.
That's it?
Right before, yeah. Either right before.
Those are rookie numbers.
What was like its initial? Because I thought it opened to something big and then like fell off like a cliff.
No, it opened to like a big weekend, and then after that everybody stopped because they realized how terrible it was.
Yeah, but that also goes to speaking to the fact that Sony can't make anything good, Marvel related, without Marvel being involved.
Which is sad, considering they had an opportunity to really do something unique, even by Marvel standards, with Morbius. Especially because you had Jared Leto and Matt Smith, two guys that...
And Tyrese.
I forgot he was in that.
Yeah, so did Tyrese.
Is it okay if I just quote directly?
Go for it, please.
It says, in the US and Canada, Morbius was projected to gross around $33 million from the 4,268 theaters in its opening weekend, and some industry tracking is going as high as 40 to 50. The film earned $17.3 million on its first day, and then it went on to debut to $39 million, finishing first in the box office that weekend. Its second weekend of release in the US and Canada, the film only grossed $10.2 million and finished second behind Sonic the Hedgehog 2, while experiencing a drop of...
Boogaloo?
Which is fair, because Sonic 2, it was pretty good.
Experiencing a drop of 74%, the second worst of all time for a superhero movie, only behind Steel from 1997.
Jeez.
The worst of any tentpole superhero movies. It fell to 6th place at the box office in the third weekend, grossing only $4.7 million, a drop of 54%, and then dropped to 9th place its fourth weekend at $2.3 million. Morbius dropped out of the box office top 10 in its 6th weekend. The film was re-released in theaters during its 10th weekend, made $310,665 from 1,037 screens during the first 3 days.
Yeah,
it's a pretty sizable drop-off.
And then
sizable is an understatement.
It was either when they re-released in theaters, it was either right before or right after they released to streaming, and it was amazing.
Well, again, they can't do anything without Look at all of the Spider-Man related things that we're getting, and it's just like none of these sound good.
Oh, wait.
On June 3rd, Sony announced that the film would return to 1,000 theaters weeks after its initial theatrical and digital release. This was largely attributed to the film's influx in attention from internet memes in weeks prior. This decision was also met with criticisms from various outlets, which speculated that the release was because Sony was unaware the internet trend was not due to legitimate popular adoration towards the film.
Sony execs out of touch? No.
Never. Upon its re-release the film performed very poorly, making $85,000 on the day it was re-released. With many outlets claiming the film bombed for a second time. After a dismal $300,000 weekend performance and its re-release, a $289 per theater average, Sony pulled the film entirely from theaters. Yep.
That was... Honestly, that might be one of the most amazing trolls on a major studio I've ever seen.
Like, you take a family to 6 to theaters for $289. Like, that's basically what it...
Yeah.
No one laughs from, like, the overpriced theater joke. Man, I thought that was clever.
Like, we have witnessed so many people attempt to troll major studios so many times. This was the first time it was genuinely successful, and I am living for it.
Or bully a studio to fix something. We just referenced to Sonic the Hedgehog, but...
I mean, in fairness, that actually worked out in our favor.
It worked out in our favor, but not the studio's favor.
No, definitely not. But it did work out in the studio's favor by the time Sonic 2 came out.
Yeah.
And we got freaking Idris Elba as Knuckles.
And
I cannot explain how excited that made me. Because, look, Knuckles was one of the coolest characters from Sonic, and this is coming from somebody that read the comics back during the Archie days. Like, I loved it, the massive slew of characters that came from that. As ridiculous as it got, it had some pretty great characters. Knuckles was the second coolest character in the entire Sonic pantheon of characters behind
Shadow.
Knuckles was the second coolest behind Sonic.
No, Knuckles is second coolest behind Shadow.
No.
Yes.
Oh god, it would be that kid that thought Shadow was cool.
Hi, have you met me?
But which, by the way, you know, Shadow got teased at the end of Sonic 2.
The supposed to mean.
Good luck getting home.
So Sonic got teased during the after credits scene for Sonic 2, by the way. For
Shadow got teased?
Or Shadow, yes, for the number 3. But
I still need to watch this.
The idea of Knuckles coming to the big screen was already great. The fact that Idris Elba not only got cast as that, but was genuinely excited about it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's my level.
There is something deep down inside of me that I thought was long dead that just got so excited hearing about it.
Childhood hope and wonder.
It was amazing.
Any other movies we want to talk about?
Fabelmans. Just because of the fact that Spielberg has not had a movie that you could really say felt classic Spielberg in a while. And this one, from all accounts,
I think I've heard a lot of people say this is magnum opus, right?
West Side Story was classic Spielberg.
Would you have people say that Fabelmans is a swan song?
Not swan song, but it is basically his autobiography.
Yeah, without question.
Heard, yeah,
I'd say this is because I still think
magnum opus over swan song.
Yeah, okay. Like I still think that he has several more movies left in him that he can really knock out of the park if he wants. That is, once again, if he wants.
Spielberg's in his 70s.
Yeah. But that, by director standards, this still got at least a decade or so left by normal standards.
Here's the hoping.
But the thing is, if
76,
and I will let you slap me for saying it out loud if you want. If this were to be his last film that he ever made, I feel like this would be him going out on a high note. Now, I know we all hope it's not. So his magnum opus is not a swan song.
Yeah.
But
let's see what IMDb says.
Yeah.
He still has like 16 executive producer stuff. Hold on.
Yeah, let's not forget. Yeah.
Executive producer. You keep talking. I'm just looking.
But yeah.
No, I mean, but Spielberg's also a guy that I don't know, man. Like, he's the greatest to ever do it, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
But like, he will also put out some stuff that is just absolute dog shit, and it's just like, I don't know if it's just he set the standard for himself so high. But like, I look at some stuff that he's put out, and I'm like, that's beneath you.
I mean, it's a little hard not to say that he set his own standard so high, considering what his greatest hits are, and how early in his career a lot of those greatest.
I was like, what is that?
Yeah, a lot of those greatest hits came from. No,
But like,
not water.
But like,
adult water.
But like,
you are bold, sir.
like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I walked out of that, and I was
Once again, what is that?
Yeah,
I've never heard of
keep
this
talking
thing.
about this.
I mean, I walked like that. Like I can't possibly fathom.
You spent money on a theater to go see that?
We saw it at midnight.
I still don't.
I didn't see it at midnight, but I went to a theater for a movie that I cannot recall the name of, but it was clearly.
Both of you went to the theater for this thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I love Indiana Jones.
Even I was apprehensive about whatever movie it is you're talking about,
and I thought
rented
Spielberg did too.
And I rented it from a like a movie store.
But I mean, like,
I'm gonna date myself real quick, but like.
Was it Family Video?
No,
one of
it
the
was
last surviving options
let me double check.
after Blockbuster.
Actually, quite possibly. I want to be a liar real quick.
But yeah, no, and the fact that we're getting another Indiana Jones movie.
It wasn't Family Video, but it was a local store from where I lived at the time.
Ah, fair.
So.
Fair. Like the fact that we are going to be getting another indie movie. Now, look, I like the fact that they are. Once again, names.
I like
names are escaping me today.
I'm the one that's supposed to be bad with names.
The writer, the director,
the lead,
Indy himself,
lead / supporting actress. Aside from Indy, the lead actress from. Wow, my trivia brain is
just keep talking. I got you
today.
But what about her? A Dial of Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Phoebe Waller.
Phoebe Waller, best known for Fleabag. Freaking Fleabag.
Yeah.
I didn't realize Michael Nicholson was going to be there. Okay, sorry.
Okay.
I can really say.
So I love Phoebe Waller. I think or Phoebe Waller-Bridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think she's fantastic. Her work on Fleabag, phenomenal. But even with her there, I still feel like I'm getting Shia vibes where, you know, the last one was supposed to be his...
Don't put that bad juju out there.
That was supposed to be his opportunity to, you know, really step up to be a Spielberg-level leading man. And, well...
Yeah.
And I just, as great as Phoebe is, I really, really, really hope the Shia effect doesn't happen to her, and that this ends up being the start of bad things. Because, once again, I think she's fantastic. I want to see her in so much more. So I really, really hope the Shia effect doesn't happen.
You good over there? Existing?
Yeah. I mean, look, I agree. Like, I think, you know, it's, you know, you still had so many movies got bumped into 2023 because I think studios were still scared of people not going back to the theaters this year and everything. Yeah. So, like, I mean, we're getting Dead Reckoning Part 1, we're getting that, we're getting Oppenheimer, which, my God, I cannot wait for. The fact that Nolan recreated the nuclear explosion with practical effects in that movie is...
Oh, yeah.
Erection-inducing, to say the least.
Well, they got...
Do you see what I deal with?
They got Cillian Murphy.
Have you seen that cast? That cast is ridiculous.
Oh, no, the cast is amazing, but...
I still think my favorite meme is it's like Michael Caine said that this is his last movie. and it's Walter White and Jesse from Breaking Bad.
You're not done till I say you're
and it's
done.
like Nolan is Walter White, and it's like, you're finished when I say you're finished, or we're through when I say we're through.
Yeah. No, and that like, I know I'm super late to the game, but I just got around to watching and finishing in a matter of a few months.
Don't say One Piece.
No, no, that
How do you
that
finish
would be
something that's
insanity.
never going to end?
Yeah, no, Peaky Blinders.
Oh, okay.
And so, right now, I am all about the Cillian Murphy hype train. So, seeing him leading a Christopher Nolan movie, I'm okay with. Like, I am so very okay with.
I also apologize that I still figured out Tenet before.
It's fine. It was still a great movie.
Oh, you did? You figured it out before him?
I figured it out before the movie ended. I called it. Do you want to know why?
No,
you can thank Doctor Who for why I figured it out.
Bootstrap Paradox?
What?
Bootstrap Paradox?
It wasn't necessarily that. It was more that I was like, this is literally the Doctor's and River's love story. They're literally doing this. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
I
That's
went,
fair.
no, and Michael was like, what? I was like, I'll tell you if I'm right. I was like, I was right. He was like, what? I was like, you can thank Doctor Who because it was.
Yeah. Which, by the way, you still need to make him watch because you have, Mike, you have no idea what you're missing out on.
I think Tenet's going to be his favorite without question.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that out there right now. And then,
I'd agree with that.
And then
We shall see.
I think he's going to cry at Bad Wolf.
Oh.
Like
if he doesn't cry like a bitch,
Like-
I was not okay after Bad Wolf.
even
for a
the
while.
conversation we just had, I even was upset during Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
Actually, I actually had that TARDIS, by
Well,
the way.
Anyway.
now let's talk about more depressing stuff.
So
we
yes,
do we have depressing stuff?
We have a ton of depressing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
no, there's the
Yeah.
third line has something.
so
on it.
we're gonna try to go through the rest of this list a little bit faster than the first bit because we
it's
may
well
have
enough.
gone a little deep on the dive on this one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Hey, did you know that Discovery and Warner Brothers merged and it's been the biggest shit show of all shit shows to end shit shows?
You mean David Zaslav doesn't understand scripted programming?
There's a script.
Not if he has anything to say about it. So
I think the
The
Hindenburg
fact-
landing went off better than this.
so
I
David
think the Titanic's maiden voyage went off better than this. I think the Black Plague was handled better than this.
think the
I
Kobe
think 2020
Pokey
was.
the
I
Kobe
was like,
Pokey was
was
handled
2020
better.
handled better than this?
Look, David Zaslav.
Was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull handled better than this?
No.
Look, I will say this, and this is something that for everybody that is trying to learn media literacy, you need to take note of this.
And do the exact opposite of what is happening.
David Zaslav is breaking one of the prime rules of media literacy. When you're talking about media of any kind, know your brand.
Yep.
And unfortunately, David Zaslav understood the Discovery brand because
2021
that's
coming out of
nothing
it
but
from
reality.
Yep.
He does not understand the HBO brand. The brand that has spent what is it? HBO is what, 40, 50 years old now?
Yeah, if you're talking.
No, it's not that old, is it?
I
It's
think
been
it
around since
is.
at least the 80s.
I thought it was the 90s.
No. The original HBO, I feel like it had to have been the 80s, right?
Hold
I don't think it was 70s. I feel like it was 80s. But
on. 1972.
Holy shit.
okay,
I never
so
would've guessed
we're
that.
we're
Wow.
Exactly
talking
50 years ago.
Yeah, we're talking 50
Because
years.
it launched November 8th of 1972.
So a brand that spent 50 years developing its image, developing the public's understanding of what it is,
Especially
and the type of
as-
prestige content it creates.
And especially after 11 o'clock Fridays and Saturday nights.
Skinemax.
No, that was Cinemax, not HBO.
I know, but they started copying
It's
and
same-
following
same
along with
idea.
the same.
That's fair.
And then the fact that
Which, did you know that Cinemax stopped showing?
yes,
Yeah, that's the end of an era.
well, it's the same
There's
thing as
Skinemax
a
is no
certain
more?
It was the same thing about a certain magazine changing up its format.
Boo.
but no. So 50 years. 50 years for the brand to establish what it was and where it belonged within the realm of prestige media. Yep. And then HBO Max putting so much effort into trying to become the digital variant of it. And then David Zaslav comes in and wants to merge all that with Discovery, using Discovery's propensity for non-scripted content to rebrand everything is 100% a lack of understanding of media literacy and what the importance of that is. Like that if you want to be successful in film school, if you want to be successful in the business of entertainment, that is the first lesson you must learn. Branding matters. You can't just rebrand overnight and expect people to be okay with that, especially if the brand
even content creators understand that.
So like the thing that I also don't get, sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
No, I was just making a comment.
Like the thing that I don't get is the way that they're gutting Warner Brothers and the way that they're shelving and killing all of these properties. What was the point of buying it in the first place?
To get
the tax write-off.
I mean,
the prestige of saying you bought them.
Yes.
Oh.
Like that's the thing that I don't get is the way that they're just shitting all over and discarding all of the content that's there already. What was the point of even spending the money for it?
I don't know.
Like
it's strange.
That's the one thing that I like. If you're gonna come in and say like, okay, like we can buy this and then we can use this to bolster this demographic by pairing it with this or putting it on this platform or doing this, awesome. They're just shelving everything.
Well, except for House of the Dragon. Currently.
Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones, Game of Thrones.
No, if you haven't
seen I can't say the other one.
What?
Well, I can't say the floppy one.
You can't say wiener?
I don't know if I can say it seriously. Game of Thrones is about as close as I can get without cracking.
Wieners.
No, it's.
Oh, South Park, you are still brilliant.
There it is. But yeah, so...
No, I like Game of Thrones better. I don't know, it works.
So yeah,
better.
the whole Warner Brothers Discovery merger has been an absolute mess.
Is it even a merger when you just kill 50% of it?
That's what big companies do in general. So I mean, why is it any different for media?
In this world of capitalism,
because big companies will still at least take one or two things.
Well, in this world of capitalism and Hollywood, technically, yes, is exactly what a merger means. The bigger company or the winning company in the merger obliterates everything about the acquired company that could be a threat to their
right. But I mean, like even pirates back in the day, when they were pillaging, would at least take on some of the crew or take some of the treasure.
But I got the button for him.
Yeah, you already knew it was coming.
Yeah,
but like this is like
I knew what word he was trying to bleep out. So,
but this is literally like a pirate ship coming over and taking over another ship, murdering the entire crew, and then throwing the treasure overboard and burning the ship.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Like that's the whole thing that I don't get with all of this is what was the end game? Other than to buy it so that nobody else could have it, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. Because if it wasn't
like Sony throwing a hissy
Discovery,
we're gonna get to that shit.
Activision purchase.
Like if it wasn't for Discovery, I feel like we would have had a viable option of seeing, not Disney because they were still coming off of the Fox acquisition, so that was never going to happen. But I'd say Apple or Amazon might have actually had a viable chance at getting them if Discovery had not stepped in.
Well, yeah.
That is a question that becomes very interesting, is if somebody other than Discovery had bought them, what could have been? And would it have been as bad as what has happened now? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I feel like it would be at least bad in different ways, but
yeah.
I don't know.
But there was something good that came from WB this year. One of my favorite movies this year. I don't know. I'm skipping something, but
No, I mean we can go to it.
Go for it.
And
So I was gonna say,
pivot back.
yeah, I was gonna say like at least the Batman was really good. I don't know about you, but it was my favorite rendition of.
It was 45 minutes too long. I'm kidding.
Excuse me, my heart stopped a little bit. But no,
the Batman was incredible.
It was the best version of the Riddler I think I've ever seen.
I mean, you're bringing in Paul Dano for anything. You better expect a pretty damn good.
I will say, I
performance.
can't unsee Paul Dano as the brother from Little Miss Sunshine. What? Why are you laughing about that? Like you can't like he's quiet for the entirety.
I was not expecting
that one.
that to be the direction.
Or were you gonna say that I was gonna say like the Who from Horton Hears a Who? Like
I wasn't really sure where you're gonna go with that, but I didn't think you were gonna go that way.
It's the brother from Little Miss Sunshine. That's who it is. Like, and you can't tell me like you can't think about it because he's quiet for the first hour and a half of the movie till he finds out he's colorblind and he can't actually join the Air Force and be a pilot, and he like jumps out of a moving vehicle just to go. Like it like you can't. Please tell me y'all have seen this movie because it's such a good one.
Yes.
Sarah keeps trying to make me. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Please watch it. It's one of my Meemaw's favorite movies too. Like she loves that movie and she thinks that scene is hilarious. But like I was looking at him and I was like, why does the Riddler look familiar? And I was like, I know him. He's the brother from Little Miss Sunshine. But like but honestly, his performance of the Riddler was probably like my favorite version of it.
Well, everybody's performance in that movie was fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
even Mr. Sparkle Skin himself.
Not to continue to shit on Tim Burton, but like that's a director that understood the source material.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that entirely.
Like, and outside of the animated series, this is the first real time that we've seen like a major
Detective Batman.
Exactly, like a major creation of Batman. Like Nolan kind of like
he's supposed to be the greatest. He's supposed to be the greatest detective of all time.
But I will say the one thing.
But like this was a full-on like detective noir film.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the comment that kind of made me stop to think a minute was that the Batman did one thing that both the Tim Burton Batmans and the Nolan Batmans could not get right.
Don't forget about Joel Schumacher.
No, Joel Schumacher once got them right. Got this part right, but it was the one thing that both Burton and Nolan could not get right.
Well,
Burton partly just because he wasn't focused on it, and Nolan because he was explicitly trying not to. It was that the Batman was the first Batman movie in a long time that understood Batman's and Bruce Wayne's connection to kids. Like in general, to be able to get to a point where he could have
it starts off with
kid sidekicks.
No, that's not true.
The Batfleck had zero connection to kids. The Nolan.
What are you talking about? He saved Joffrey.
Yeah, for like
Joffrey, isn't it?
Yes, for like half a second. But Nolan even specifically said that the reason why he was never going to do Robin is because he was never going to do the kid thing.
Yeah.
And Burton, whether he was actually going to would have done that for the third one or not, he never got. The chance.
It was supposed to be Marlon Wayans.
But the fact is,
20-something-year-old Marlon Wayans.
I mean, the fact is though. He's not wrong that as far as live actions, this is the first one outside of Schumacher, and then before that, the TV shows where you actually had some display of Batman having a connection to kids that could explain the relationship he later develops with his sidekicks, to the point where you could understand why the entire Bat family becomes a thing. Yeah. Because that has been such a staple of Batman in the comics, that to say that, Batman is a loner hasn't been explicitly true since, the 70s? 60s.
60s.
So the fact that so much Batman media is focused on everything that is Batman without the sidekicks, and yet we have had 50 years now of Batman, not just with sidekicks, but having an entire extended family. That says something about the people they keep bringing in to do Batman media, that they don't get that.
That's true, but also...
I'll say I appreciate that about Matt Reeves, that he's setting that up to be able to... If he wants to bring in a sidekick for the second one, or wants to lead towards that with the second one, either way, he set it up.
Give me, like, Damian or something.
But
like,
I also...
but like, I think Damian would be a good fit with that Batman.
But I also think back to the meme.
Which meme?
Okay.
But no, I will say like that was probably my favorite Batman movie in a long time. I'm so sorry. I know you love the Christopher Nolan ones, but like
The Dark Knight is still the best Batman movie.
I don't know. This one hit different for me. Like, I'm excited to sit down and watch it again. Like, I'm so happy that you got it for Christmas so we can watch it again.
Yeah, but I will say
I'll say the Dark Knight is the best, or now with the Batman, maybe second best live action Batman movie, but it is not the best Batman movie. With
Mask of the Phantasm.
I'd say Mask of the Phantasm is right there. Honestly, with right behind it, maybe Batman and Son from the DCAU New 52 run.
Good. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Like, I feel like maybe that be number 2, just because, once again, it understood the Bat family, but more importantly, it really understood
that was like a cough kind of sneeze.
The Batman as a father thing, which we desperately needed.
But The Dark Knight also did, like, Nolan's trilogy did encapsulate what the character stands for, just on such a whole level.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't disagree there.
I never said thank you and you'll never have to. Like, he's the hero Gotham deserves, but not the one that needs right now.
Yeah.
Like just that whole, like, Batman being a symbol and everything that he stands for. Plus, by the way, 15-year anniversary this year.
Is that this year?
2008.
Wow. That definitely doesn't make me feel old.
I mean, both of y'all were out of high school when that movie came out, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was not.
Doesn't make it any better, but sure.
But I mean, like, it's, like, the Batman, like, I'm very happy to see where the Batman goes from here, because what we're about to talk about next has come up with, has basically stated that it's going to continue to be a thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Matt Reeves' take on Batman, so I'm very, very excited to see where we go from here.
Yeah. So the last major thing that we're going to talk about with the Warner Brothers Discovery, and then we're going to move on, because we have devoted now 2 other episodes to this, plus today. Right. We have the more recent news than our last live show about Warner Brothers Discovery, with James Gunn and Peter Safran taking over. Safran?
I've heard both.
Right.
Por qué no los dos?
Taking over
somebody's name.
Taking over DC as the new creative leads.
Said they weren't saying their name correctly the entire time. Keep talking.
Are you talking about?
There was an actress that came out that was like.
Idea Menzel.
Well, no. There's another one.
Sorry. Yeah.
That was like, y'all haven't saying my name right, like for like.
Saoirse Ronan.
Maybe.
that's one of the common ones.
Yeah, my future ex-wife.
No, there was another one. You keep talking. You're good.
But with James Gunn and Peter taking over, I think there's a lot of really good possibilities with this.
Yeah.
But I think at the same time, fan expectations are going to be the biggest hurdle to overcome, especially with what we had with Henry Cavill officially being out as Superman rather than it being unofficial before, and then trying to be teased back in with Black Adam.
But then
unofficially, because The Rock was trying to bring it in so that he didn't have to ever be paired up with Shazam, and he could try to be the
why would we?
It was Lindsay Lohan, by the way, because everyone says Lohan.
Yeah, but why would we pair Black Adam with Shazam? Because, you know, there's no
Shazam!
comic history of those two being
No,
mortal
definitely
enemies,
not.
and then...
No.
Definitely not.
Why would they... Did they hate each other? I'm
Yeah.
being sarcastic. Please know that.
Okay.
Like, I was being sarcastic.
I mean, look. If you really want to go for the realm of more recent comic iterations, with the fact that Black Adam has become a part of the Justice League technically sometimes.
Yeah, and
Are they giving him like the Deadpool treatment in new ones, where he's like sometimes he is, sometimes he isn't, and kind of does his own thing?
No.
After Dark Crisis on
It's-
Infinite Earths, they basically like rebranded him as a superhero. 'cause
It's
he's
basically
like
the
like
new
the only
52 Lex Luthor.
He's basically like the only surviving member of the Justice League.
Was it New 52 or was it
Okay.
what was it after the New 52 where Lex was rebranded as a superhero for like a hot
I
second?
thought that was after Rebirth.
Oh yeah, that was Rebirth. Yeah.
I thought.
Lex Luthor as a hero?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he still had
Did
a
I,
hard
like,
on.
So yeah,
have a
it was
stroke
Rebirth.
that I missed,
It
like-
was Rebirth because it was as the events of Rebirth came around.
Right.
Lex Luthor with the super suit came around and started realizing that the multiversal manipulation that was happening because of the whole Dr. Manhattan stuff for the whole Rebirth.
That was Doomsday Clock.
Well, yeah, but it started with that. You know, the whole multiversal manipulation thing was not good.
Did Lex
And-
Luthor finally hit a point and just say, I like money? Or...
No. So it
No,
was.
what do you mean finally hit a point? That's all he's ever done.
he
Well, no, like
realized
after he
that-
became a hero and then was like, oh, no, never mind.
Well, no.
Like,
So he realized at first that
you can tell I
finally
haven't read these comics in a hot minute.
him and the Justice League were actually trying to fight for the same thing for a while, but then as time went on, he realized that the code that the Justice League had to adhere to was holding him back from what he believed was the necessary course of action.
Oh, sounds like Civil War.
He went off to do his own thing, which eventually got him realigned with the bad guys. But for a while, he became more
So
of
you're
like
saying
a
it went back to like money?
kind of, but it was more like he went from lawful evil to neutral evil to borderline neutral chaotic evil.
Sounds like he still was following his
Yeah, he was
still lawful.
He was, but the thing is, though, it was
Lawful just means you have
yes.
an alignment.
Well,
you
no,
have
that-
rules that you live by and whatnot. So kind of.
He hasn't always had it, which is where the almost borderline chaotic. The problem was he started. He went from it all aligned. He could be a superhero, you know, in another lifetime. To no, the hero life is way too restrictive,
Well,
and
and the
it's
other-
not going extreme enough.
The other bad thing that came out of this too was that people were used for the sake of politicking and.
But wait,
building up.
once again,
Sounds
Cavill.
normal.
Cavill got screwed.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I personally am of the opinion that Cavill should never have been brought back as Superman in the first place.
Why?
Because
The dude is Superman.
I think he
like,
could have had if Snyder had
Dorito
not
shape and everything.
if Snyder had not been part of this, or if Snyder could have been cut much sooner, he could have been a great Superman. The problem that I've found, and you and I have talked about this before, when most people talk about, oh, Henry Cavill is Superman, everybody remembers him as Superman when he started, which was, 10 years ago.
Well, that's
Or
fair.
10 plus. So that he was still, early 30s at the time? This
That's
is now
fair.
an early 40s, mid 40s. How old is he again?
I don't know, just keep talking.
Cavill,
I know
think
he's
like
in his
43,
40s.
44 maybe.
Yeah, so almost mid 40s. He is now about a mid 40s Henry Cavill.
Yep.
That's a very
He's
different.
39.
Oh, is he? Mm-hmm. Oh, damn. But still, 10 years ago, that means he's late 20s.
He was in 29.
Yeah, that's a late 20s Superman versus an almost 40 Superman. That's a very different Superman.
That's fair.
If we were going to be talking about like a more mature, more established Superman storyline, he could still pull it off. But at the
I'm
same
drawing a blank. Hold on. Keep talking.
but at the same time, that's not if you're going to be rebooting the DC universe, that's not the Superman you need.
Well, and that's what we
and I will, as much as everybody wants to bag on the New 52, I will say that is one of the things that they got right. Is that if you're going to reboot the entire universe,
you need to reboot the entire universe.
Yeah, and going for a younger Superman at the beginning of the New 52 rather than the more weathered and established Superman with the family that you had pre-New 52, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're going to do that here and you're going to try to pull a properly executed New 52, you need a younger Superman.
But the other problem with the New... one of the big problems with the New 52...
I hate to say it, but you do.
One of the problems with the New 52 was that it kept stuff from the pre-New 52.
And that's where I said properly executed.
Right. Now, I think we need to wash the taste of Zack Snyder out of our mouths.
Oh, without question.
Like, we are way past that point.
Without question.
Nothing that guy did was good. Sorry. All of you fanboys at home...
I was like, I was pushing it.
Like, at this point, anybody that thinks that anything good came from the Zack Snyder thing, like, sorry, you're pretty much null and void opinion from here on out.
I mean, you want to talk about somebody that didn't understand the source material. Tim Burton at least understood the aesthetic of the source material and understood the tone. Zack Snyder didn't even understand the tone of the original source material. He didn't understand the characters. He didn't understand the motivations. He understood nothing about them. He had his own story he wanted to tell, even if it was not in line with what those characters represent and have represented for decades, or in the case of like Superman, almost a century.
Well, what we talked about,
you can't do that and say that you're being loyal to the comics. No, he wasn't. He wasn't.
Like, Superman is supposed to be the ceiling. He is supposed to be what everybody attains and strives to be.
Yeah,
you don't lower the ceiling.
No,
why not?
We talked about this before.
Gotta make it reachable. So people can brush greatness.
Like we talked about this before.
Maybe everybody shouldn't brush greatness.
Yeah. We talked about this before with Superman, because we had that whole deep dive with Superman before. Superman comes across as boring to a lot of authors because they don't understand what you can do with a character that's supposed to be the absolute paragon of all that is good and right.
Paragon, epitome, top dog.
That's the problem, because if you cannot figure out a way to make that interesting without having to go dark or make him break his moral code, you're just a bad storyteller.
Yeah.
Like that, it's that simple. Like if you know that a character is categorically morally, ethically, or personality stuck in a very specific silo, and you do not have the ability to tell a story that fits within that silo, you're just bad at what you do. Like that's it. I hate to break it to you little Snyder fanboys out there, but you're just bad at what you do.
Yeah.
You're a bad storyteller, you're a bad director, you are a bad...
What are you talking about? He made Army of the
creative.
I
Fuck out of here.
you did better.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I mumbled it. But yes, hopefully, last thing on this is James Gunn coming in will actually give us stability in a position that hasn't had stability, which should be the figurehead of Warner Brothers and everything DC moving
Reference
forward.
to like Feige.
And somebody that understands what drives this is good storytelling and good character development.
Well, he understands the source material. Now, granted,
That's it.
the source material he's proven that he understands is the more comedic and sarcastic side, which is not
But then he
like
did Suicide Squad,
the Great
which
Trilogy.
is also still...
Well, no, the Suicide Squad for a lot of its history has not really been of the serious variety. It's been more of the sarcastic variety, which they get.
Even the animated.
He gets that.
Have you seen some of the animated stuff? Like, what's the one that's like the Get Out of Hell? Bat Out of Hell, something like that.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about, but yeah, no, that was good. But like, so he gets
Hell to Pay. There it is.
There it is.
I knew it had hell in it,
but no, so he gets that. I think a lot of people's area where they're cautious about him is, can he understand the more serious side? Because like obviously the Suicide Squad he got. Peacemaker, he's knocked it out of the friggin' park. Peacemaker is phenomenal.
But I heard that there's like the superhero, you can't actually see him though, or like a suit running around.
So I think what you're talking about is in the season finale of Peacemaker. Oh, jeez. Yep. Cena.
Moving along.
What? That I made that joke and you didn't? Or that he didn't get it?
Go to the next topic.
It's Cena. But
it's John Cena. Bam, bam, bam.
But yeah, like he gets that. And I think the only other bit of currently established DC media that understands the assignment without question is Doom Patrol. Like, have you guys seen Doom Patrol? Please say.
Do you realize how much I work for teaching?
That's fair.
How much he works with his job?
Doom Patrol, pre-James Gunn, Doom Patrol is the one good thing DC did. Like, they understood exactly what they were doing. They cast perfectly. And that's not just because they gave Brendan Fraser a chance to shine again, which, by the way, was one of the best things ever.
Brendan Fraser.
But no, like, everything about Doom Patrol is just
yeah.
Oh, it is amazing. They understood that Doom Patrol is without question one of the more ridiculous aspects of. Oh no. Yeah, we can skip whatever after. But Doom Patrol is one of the more ridiculous aspects of DC.
No.
The villains of it is one of the most, are some of the most ridiculous in DC. Even considering like the Flash's, what's it called? The group of villains.
You sound like me trying to talk right now.
The Rogues.
They're the Gallery
Rogues.
Rogues. Yeah, like even by that standard, they're ridiculous.
You sound like me trying to talk right now, Brad. You okay?
It's New Year's Day. I don't work good.
Adult water?
Actually, no. Surprisingly, barely feeling it.
What's next?
Which is saying something. But no, it's amazing. So, and the fact that that's still going to be going on.
Yeah.
I'm happy about the fact that Titans is still going to be going on.
Mm.
We can rant about later. So yeah, moving on past HBO Discovery, we have
Things
the streaming.
back.
Stranger
we have streaming
Things.
services. Stranger Things is back. Netflix, honestly, as much as everybody wants to try to say that, oh, Netflix has had a bad year because they lost subscribers for the first time ever.
I'm talking about they have 500 million users and 1 million accounts.
I will actually, I will actually make the argument that outside of Disney Plus, because Disney Plus is so new, they could only really go up. As far as established streaming platforms, I think Netflix actually had a fantastic year, and I think that everybody that is focused so hard on the drop in subscribers from the this last quarter or so of the year really missed the forest amongst the trees.
That's fair.
Like Stranger Things, like you said, fantastic.
Oh, it was, season 4 was phenomenal.
Yeah, like the fact that, like you said, Kate Bush.
Yeah. Like, so it's episode 4. I don't want to spoil it for those who are still catching up on Stranger Things, but
if you've been on social media recently, you've at least heard the song.
Yes. In episode 4 of Stranger Things, there's a scene with a character with Max, and she has a favorite song, and it's Kate Bush's "Running Up That Hill." And the music is swelling with like what's going on in the show and things like that. Cause I don't want to spoil it. I was bawling and so stressed during the scene. Like I had to look to Mike. I was like, I need like a shot of alcohol after that. Like that was that was something else. But the fact that like people got so gravitated to this song that was originally released in the early 80s that it started trending. Like it hit like number one on, I think, did it hit number one on the billboards?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it did, yeah.
And it like held there for a little bit until Taylor Swift came along. But like it held there for a while. And like the fact that like you could hear it on every single video on my TikTok was playing some version of Running Up That Hill. People came up with their own covers of Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. Like there were memes that were coming out that were referencing to Back to the Future, where Marty's like, "Oh, guess you aren't ready for that, but your kids are gonna love it." Like absolutely, and it was the power of good media. You know what I mean?
This year alone, because of Stranger Things, the revenue from Running Up That Hill alone came back with $2.3 million from streaming.
That mind you, that episode didn't come out until mid-July.
Oh, and that revenue, that $2.3 million,
June, maybe?
was
June, July?
specifically accrued between May 27th and June 23rd.
It was end of May then. Yeah.
$2.3 million. What was it? It was what, 4 decades after it came out? 3 decades?
Yeah, 4 decades.
4 decades.
Oh.
Which, by the way, started a whole other conversation about the fact that Kate Bush actually owns full rights to that song.
Yes, ma'am.
Because she fought for it.
Yep.
And like every other musician in the friggin' world, like stopped when they heard that and went, "You can do that? Like,
Yeah.
you can own full rights to your own song? Like,
It doesn't have to be just to my studios and my brand, my record label. Like, what?
although
yeah.
I will still say that of all the covers out there, maybe my favorite was the one by Loveless.
That's a really good one. There's one that I have on my liked list, but
his
sure my sound is off.
more like punk rock take on it, I love. I would say, aside from the original, which my wife.
Yep, it's the Loveless one that I have on my liked list.
Like my wife Sarah, she was surprised I had never heard the original before.
I had never heard the original.
She apparently it like early 2000s media came up like a couple times in some really popular stuff. She's like, "How have you never heard this?" But since then, I love the original. I think
it's a great song. Like I never heard it. I was like, that song was like that one as well as the other song. That's another thing too. I mentioned the Kate Bush one to you, but also Metallica's resurgence with new metalheads.
Oh yes.
With Master of Puppets. Like,
which, by the way,
the number of people also they're like, Metallica's really good. I'm like, where have you been? Like
that scene right there, that scene from season 4, in my mind, tied for first with the Kate Bush scene from season 4 for best moments, not of the season, of the series.
Yeah, so like there were people. I think there's a video, I'll have to find it for you sometime, on TikTok where a guy, as soon as the first trailer for the second half of the season dropped, when you see Eddie playing, he stopped and goes, "Okay, we're gonna break this down a little bit about time frame, things like that, and try to figure out what song could possibly fit into the scenario for Eddie to be playing for like this last episode of season 4." And he called it being Master of Puppets to the T. And I was like, I'm in on this. And so I went and found it and showed it to Mike the day before we watched it. And I was like, "Hey, I'm just showing you. I know it drops tomorrow. We're gonna be watching it for the next 2 days.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna share this with you." And it was spot on. I was like, "You called that like 2 months in advance." Like, that is so impressive, especially like with the time that's taking into consideration of like when the show is taking place and like who the characters are and really diving into like who they would be, and the fact that, oh gosh, what is his name? The guy who plays Eddie.
Joseph Quinn.
Thank you.
I just had to look it up.
He actually learned how to play Master of Puppets, even though they instead brought in the lead guitarist's son from Metallica.
The bassist son.
Bassist son to come in and play.
The fact that they then, as one of the YouTube behind-the-scenes videos, had Joseph Quinn go and meet with Metallica and then play Master of Puppets with them. That right there just goes to show as much as Netflix misses on so much of their marketing, they understood with season 4 of Stranger Things how to market it properly and what people were wanting for the behind the scenes exclusives on YouTube. They got it, they understood, and I will even go so far as to say that Joseph Quinn as Eddie Munson.
Eddie Munson's a great character, by the way, so it'd be nice.
Definitely best episode or character of the season. Like
of the show. I would die on
best
that
of
hill.
the season. Maybe best of the show. Maybe only because David Harbour has such a special place in my heart. I don't know if I could personally handle saying that David Harbour's not the best thing that came that got the spotlight out of this, because he is just so incredible.
I love his character, but
why are you giving me that look? David Harbour is he is a national.
So we're just
treasure.
going to ignore the character that's seen the most character development over the course of the entire series.
Steve the Hair Harrington.
A shallow, empty teenage
I will say his
that has turned
story
into
is perfect,
literally
though.
the MVP, most
mom?
caring, and
Why?
literally.
And he literally says in show, "Why am I always babysitter?"
And yet he is no okay. I'll give you that. I will give you Steve.
I know he's
Steve may be
best character development for
best
sure.
character
Absolutely.
development.
I think he's the best all-around character.
I can respect that. I can respect that.
From where he started to where he is now.
So as far as character development goes, I think I still think that Steve and
What's her
Hopper are pretty close as far as character development.
The girl's name?
Robin?
No,
Elle?
other girl. No,
Erica?
it's like Hermione with a gun. I can't think of her name.
Natalie's character.
Nancy.
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 Yeah,
Nancy.
Nancy. No, the fact that he's sitting there and
Which, by the way, the gun thing about her may be one of the funniest little quirks about her.
best thing about her. You're talking
Ever.
about.
Well, and that's another character.
Just the fact
grown
that
into
it's
him.
not even like a major thing. It's just she is the generally very liberal, nerdy, editor of the newspaper that just happens to have a thing for guns.
Yeah. No, it's the fact that
Welcome to the Republican
he's
Party.
that Steve is sitting there and basically ends up professing to her this is what I want. I want to go around country in Winnebago.
Yes.
With 6-7 little chicken nuggets running around just
As his children are tearing up the back of the Winnebago
yep.
that they're currently in. Yeah.
That right there was
and then
great.
with Nancy and the gun, I think one of my favorite memes that came from it was
Nancy's got a gun.
well, not just that one, but it's the where she's all the kids are getting ready for gearing up and stuff like that, and it was Steve with a bat, and it was Eddie with this, and Dustin with a garbage can thing, and it was and she's got a Glock 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 Glock
R. Kelly. So I pull out my gun.
Or they also put her with the the remake of 1,000 Miles, but it's the making my way through the hood.
Yep.
They put her with that video instead.
Click, clack, 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 clack.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's the silencer.
Although I will so much good has come from Stranger Things, even though once again Netflix is generally terrible at marketing their content. Even Stranger Things, they are terrible at marketing it.
No, let the memes take care of it.
One of the other things that has made me just generally happy, and I did not expect this, was Mia Hawke getting to be properly introduced to Ethan Hawke's daughter as an actress, and finding out
Uma Thurman's daughter as an actress, but continue.
and finding out that not only were her parents phenomenal actors, even though Ethan Hawke does not get the credit he should, but that she 100% deserves to stick around in Hollywood and keep rising, because she is damn good at what she does. That, I think, may be one of the the best things that the show has contributed to Hollywood.
Yeah.
Is the
Finding
chance
these
of a
actors and
legacy
actresses.
actor who actually deserves the spot she's
Yeah.
getting, rather than one that just gets the spot because their parents were phenomenal actors.
Or even finding like good talent and like diamonds in the rough, things like that. Like nothing against Dustin, because he's also a really good character.
Oh,
but
yeah.
you wouldn't have necessarily picked him because he's not Hollywood looking.
No,
and like
he's
which
amazing.
is fine by all means, but like
Absolutely.
he's not Hollywood looking, and he has a voice for Broadway, and is on Broadway. But like it
Yeah.
just,
Oh, yeah.
but grabbing him and
Voice
like
of an
giving
angel.
him this like spotlight and whatnot, like all of the kids giving them this. I guess they're not really kids anymore, but
No,
Those are kids
they're
compared
all
to
of
us.
age.
Well,
they're kids to us, but nonetheless.
Well, almost of age. Technically, Will is still 17. Or the
No, I
guy who
thought-
plays Will.
No,
think
I thought
he's-
Millie was the youngest, and she's like 19.
I thought Elle was the youngest.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Millie.
Millie.
Oh, I thought you said Ellie, and I
No,
was like, what?
I thought he was younger than her.
Because I think Finn Wolfhard is like 20 or 21. I think Dustin's like 19 or 20.
Oh no, because the guy that plays Will, I am sorry I'm forgetting his name. There was the whole issue when the season came out of was it Megan Thee Stallion that was simping for him on Twitter, and he was still underage at the time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I think
so
you're
I
right.
think he's the
he is
youngest.
Yeah.
So Millie,
Yeah, she's of age now, and I only know that because of the
This is
very
a-
unfortunate, disturbing obsession the internet has for her, and the fact that there
Well,
was
and-
a massive social media celebration when she turned 18, and
Well, I'm
it
sure-
got creepy as.
I'm sure Drake
Noah
was
is now
celebrating
18
too.
Okay, he is.
because
now.
his birthday is October 3rd.
Okay,
He was
yeah.
born in 2004, so
He
he's
was
18
he was
now.
not when the season came out.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure Drake was celebrating when Millie turned 18 too.
That actually that was part of the internet memes.
Yeah.
Caleb is 20. Erica's technically the youngest. She's 15.
Oh yeah.
We don't count her as part of the group.
Well, actually, we should.
Sadie is 20.
After last season and this season, I feel
she
like we
puts the
should.
Erica in America. We give her respect, okay?
Hardest eye roll.
Hey, that D&D scene
is
with
pretty
her in there, and then walking out with the American flag,
As someone who like
Yep.
that was amazing.
I'm currently drinking the tears of my players, but like as someone who is a DM, like
Yeah.
she is what I want to be able to do with my storytelling. Just what she did as a player is what I want to do as a storyteller.
Yes.
Like
It is currently 3:30. We've been going for an hour and a half.
Okay, well let's keep going. So as far as the
just highlight it.
Just look down.
the good, bad, and meh, there was a lot more good.
The Quick and the Dead.
Huh?
What?
No. There was a lot more good for Netflix this year, I think, than bad. Like Wednesday has been getting a lot of hype,
Yeah.
even though there's been a little bit of backlash about the characterization of Wednesday and the fact that,
I've heard more backlash about the parents, but not necessarily.
well, it was kind of a combination of her and the parents with the fact that she came, the show made her so rebellious and the parents seemed so neglectful when in reality the original depiction of Wednesday and the parents was not
she's
really
respectful
that.
to her parents and
Yeah.
like was just a very
It was the
morbid
fact
child.
that the whole thing
Peculiar.
was they were supposed to be morbid
Peculiar
but
is a
loving
nice way of putting
together,
it.
but that's not how the show
what are you
depicts
listening
them.
to? Oh, the sounds of my brother screams. So that's spot on for her
Yeah.
though. But like
Like, in I don't get me wrong. I think, especially if you're talking like late '90s, early 2000s, Christina Ricci,
who also makes
Wednesday.
a cameo in the
yeah, I think that if you're talking that version of Wednesday, I think Jenna Ortega did spot on.
Mm-hmm.
If you're talking original Wednesday, I think the
with
show
the
overall
neon pink and gold and green backgrounds.
is black and white, so you don't know that you
I was
can't.
gonna say, fun fact for those who don't know, the original Addams Family set is gaudy
Well, I mean most
pink, gold, and green. Just
most
by the way, in
original
case you
black
don't know
and
that.
white shows were, but yeah. That's the thing. I think if you're going original for them, even if you're going like all the way back to the original comic strip, I think that's where you have problems with the depiction of Wednesday.
Yeah.
The only thing, even all the way back to the original comic strip, that the show got right was the depiction of Gomez Adams with was it Louis?
Louis Guzman.
There is.
Yeah.
And the fact that in the original comic,
He's supposed to
he
be
was more like Louis than he was basically every other depiction of Gomez.
Like he's still like his character himself is still very like suave and debonair, but he himself
he was not supposed to be a looker.
is not supposed to be suave and debonair looking.
No.
Like he's just like hopelessly devoted to his wife.
Yes.
Like in the most
Yes.
romantic way possible.
Yeah, so
not
seeing-
like a simp, but like
Not a Will and Jada.
Yeah. So no,
like he's a simp for Morticia, but like in the most respectful way to himself still.
yeah, no,
Like
so like Louis Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones makes 100% sense with the
love
original
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
the original comic. The thing that I think the comment that made the most sense to me about why people were criticizing the show was that the Addams traditionally up until about Addams Family Values, which is when it started to shift, but up until then, the Addams was so much more about the love of family, and especially with Gomez,
Yeah.
was so much about the love of love. Like Gomez was always depicted as a character that loved love. He loved his wife. He loved his kids. He loved his neighbors, even though as far as their very
share with
macabre
you.
concepts of life were, the normies next door were like way outside of that, but he loved the normies next door. He loved
I'll have to show you.
everything. He was obsessed with loving everything, and the family overall loved everything in general. And like that was a thing that
They just
from
enjoyed
Addams
the
Family
macabre.
Values
Like-
on kind of started to get lost with each new iteration. And technically, even right before Addams Family Values, the original Addams Family movie, when Christina Ricci was first introduced as Wednesday, that's when it started to shift away from that. But Addams Family Values really solidified the shift.
Yeah.
And that's why I get that.
So I'll have to show
I
you
get
this
it.
content creator on TikTok that has this bit that he does where it's skits where it's the Addams family live in Gotham. Have you seen him?
Yes, yeah. Rahul?
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds right. Like
Yes, no, I love him.
I was gonna say I love his stuff. I'm like I think he actually has Gomez down to a T in his skit of how he's supposed to be. Like to the point that like even like Poison Ivy show. I think did I show you the one where Poison Ivy shows up. He's like, "Oh, welcome, darling." And Batman's like, "What is she doing here?" I was like, "Well, she helps take care of the plants. Like, I don't know why there's a problem with that." Like,
Well, and also
she
that
understands
they,
them really
they met
well. Like,
Harley before her, and yeah,
like it's a whole thing. But like, I think he understands who Gomez is supposed to be.
Yeah.
The best that I think I've seen from like content creators.
Right.
Like to be complete. And I've shown you his videos. They're fantastic. Like also love his rendition of the MCU versus whatever Earth number that he has them meet. Usually 626, but
Yes.
616, thank you. I think you Stitch apparently. But nonetheless, so Wednesday, need to finish it. It's really good though. I like it.
I've heard amazing things about Pinocchio.
oh, Nikyle Clayton.
Him.
Yes. This man right here. For anybody that is not a TikTok person,
This yes. You need to
him
find
and
him.
Panda Red are the two.
I love Panda Red.
I have his shirt. The Alfred called the guy.
I love Panda Red.
But no,
he's the one that does the like all the Red Hood stuff, and he does like all like the Bat Family stuff.
yes. No, the two of them.
I want them to do a crossover.
My absolute favorite things that have come from TikTok, and honestly, if we could ever get either of them on the show, I'd be happy. just dropping that out there.
I've watched all your videos. It's fine. But nonetheless, so what else do we have for? And then obviously the practical effects that they did for Thing.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. Which, by the way, the fact that they were determined to recreate the original show with having an actual magician behind Thing doing everything to really pull off the effect.
They did blue screen, but they had like a prosthetic attached to it to where it actually gave it the up, so you could see like the cutoff of the hand. But it is in fact like a man. And have you seen like the pictures of like his positioning that he has to be to do all this? Like, I'm proud of him. Like, that's some good stuff.
I like that. But then we have Matilda the musical, which has gotten so much hype. Which
a little red-haired beret girl doing the
and then of course, and all the other pairings of music that they've put on with him, with the big set piece for Matilda, including I think the big one was is either Coolio or Jay-Z.
I think so.
That was like. Okay, yeah, no, that does technically.
I think the Party Rock Anthem was my favorite one that I've seen, because like that's kind of like what started it, was that like for whatever reason like Party Rock Anthem, like the dance that's in it goes with any music that you pair it to.
Yeah.
So someone was like, well, let's do it the other way around, like.
And then of course the other surprise hit from Netflix, Scrooge: A Christmas Carol.
Oh, I thought you were about to say the other one. I had.
No, with Luke Evans playing Scrooge. And apparently putting in a genuinely heart-wrenching performance as friggin' Ebenezer Scrooge that, like, I was not expecting that on my 2022 bingo card, but apparently it's a thing.
Mike and I have strong opinions about Christmas Carol.
Are we talking in general or specifically whether or not Muppets is the best version?
Muppets is the best version.
Okay, that's fair.
Muppets is the best version.
He already knows that I think Mickey's Christmas Carol is the best out there, and he's not okay with me saying that.
I'm not okay with you saying that.
Blasphemy.
No. Like,
it literally brings in Scrooge McDuck as Ebenezer Scrooge, who is based on Ebenezer Scrooge. What is wrong with that? That was
about?
meant
Like
to be
the best.
It has the most
quoted
Dickens
like
original dialogue used actual storytelling. It's only an hour and a half. It has the best music.
Mickey's Christmas Carol is less.
Yeah. But it tells the story cohesively in that time frame. It has the best music, it has the best songs, and it has...
Blasphemy about the cohesiveness.
And it has Statler and Waldorf as the first ghost that visits him, but... Statler and Waldorf as the Marley and Marley. Yep. Marley and Marley.
I agree with the songs, but the cohesive narrative...
Oh, absolutely.
I say it's... I will...
Mickey beats him on cohesive narrative. It's much more succinct.
I think the only thing that the Mickey one has on, for me personally, over the Muppets one is like Tiny Tim. But that's about it. I feel much more strongly about him than the Muppets one, but that's about it.
I'm sorry. Did Roy Kent interview Mickey about the anniversary of A Muppet's Christmas Carol? No. He interviewed the Muppets about it.
Why would he interview Mickey for the Muppets Christmas Carol?
I think he meant like did
Roy Kent interview Mickey Mouse about their rendition of A Christmas Carol? No. Roy Kent sat down with the Muppets and talked about A Muppet's Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Because he's here, he's there, he's at where? He's Roy Kent. He's Roy Kent.
Did you just censor yourself?
Yes, I did, because I wasn't quite confident with my button press, so I wanted to make sure it was covered.
Okay, well that's the thing. Yes. So,
but Roy Kent also, like, you know, he did. Who was he cooking with?
Which, by the way,
Roy Kent even was on the Sesame Street.
Apple TV with season 2 of
Ted Lasso.
Fantastic. But going back to Netflix, Pinocchio, the Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio.
I haven't watched it yet.
I haven't either, but one of the movies that apparently is not only up, potentially up for Best Animated Movie of the Year, but Best Movie of the Year. Good
job, Pixar. You had to put out a bunch of crap this year, and now you're going to lose out on your streak of basically running the animated feature.
I enjoyed Turning Red, but I will apparently the only one who did, so...
Very whatever.
You didn't even watch it.
I have watched it. It's very whatever.
When did you watch it?
It was good.
Because I showed you part of it, but you didn't watch it with me, because I watched it
And
without
Lightyear, I
you.
heard, was very whatever.
Oh, Lightyear was 100% whatever, but that Turning Red was good.
I love Turning Red.
But then of course Sandman, the Sandman.
Yeah, we need to watch that still.
Which
And?
you haven't?
No.
No, yeah, I've heard it's incredible.
Why are you, like...
Dude, I
Sorry.
barely have
Because
time.
when we were at Madness talking about Comic-Con, when we brought up the Sandman, you were even talking about, you still had to watch it, you were
Yeah.
gonna watch it.
You realize it's only been like 2 months since we were at Madness talking about it.
No, that
talking
was
about-
summer.
Was that, you're talking about the summer one?
Yes.
It dropped in what, June?
Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry.
Fail. No, the Sandman is fantastic, and what's his name that plays the Sandman?
Thomas Hayden Church?
There you go.
Tom
Sturridge.
Sturridge?
Sturridge. Tom Sturridge. Maybe the best casting they could have ever asked for. Like,
Yeah.
you want to talk about somebody that understood the original graphic novel. He was meant to play Morbius.
Yeah.
Morpheus.
Lord Morpheus.
Morpheus. He was
What if I
so
told
damn good.
you? Oh, not that Morpheus.
No. Better.
Morbin?
So much better.
But
Yeah, no, it was phenomenal, and of course the fact that this year finally, after so much demand, Netflix finally added more anime,
yeah.
and not just like a little bit here and there, like they added a ton of new anime. That right there legitimizes
I just
for
need
a
them to stay
Western
away.
audience.
I just need them
more
to stay
anime.
away from like recreating live action versions of it. So that's all I really need them to do.
Yes, I don't blame them specifically for that though, because they were not on none
Netflix
of the
original
Well, yeah, it's Netflix
doing
original.
Death Note.
But if you go back and look, Death Note, Full Metal Alchemist, all those, none of
Full Metal
those
Alchemist.
were Netflix
Full
the
Metal
originating
Alchemist.
studio.
That's fair.
They were the ones
were
who
terrible.
agreed to host
Yeah,
and produce. They were not the ones that created.
that's fair.
And that is where
I
I
still
will
need them to stay away
not
from it, though.
blame them for it. But
I still need them to stay away from it though.
well, especially because
Please.
there was the rumor that they could be looking at a live action My Hero, and that hurt me so much.
I think the only one that I've heard that was even semi okay was the Cowboy Bebop one.
Yes.
But I've kind of
Yes.
stayed away from it because I don't want it to ruin Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, good.
So was it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, amongst the anime that they added that was absolutely noteworthy, Bubble, which, if you have not seen, is basically Little Mermaid meets Splash with parkour.
Okay.
It's
Sounds like an acid trip.
No, that was Babylon.
It is one of the most visually stimulating bits of anime outside of Miyazaki.
I was gonna say outside of Miyazaki.
Outside of Miyazaki, because you cannot top Miyazaki, but without question, Bubble, I think, is right behind any of his work. So no,
You know what an acid trip is Cells at Work Code Black. That one's an acid trip.
yeah.
I got through 2 episodes and I was like, I can't do it. It's the too muchness one for Code Black, but nonetheless.
And then of course the bad, you got the drop in subscribers, which I mean it was bound to happen. The Witcher Blood Origin, which we could go into a
Also
deep
lost
dive on
Henry
that.
Cavill for
Reviews
The
have
Witcher.
not been good for that.
No. Well, the problem was that so much of it, even though I had Michelle Yeoh, which, I mean, you would normally say Michelle Yeoh is just...
Right.
But, no. The problem was, it didn't... While it started to try to show certain bits of Witcher history that people have been wanting to see, it deviated so much from the lore that it doesn't really feel like it belongs, and it no, it doesn't almost. It absolutely takes away from the struggles of Yennefer as a character for the first 2 seasons of The Witcher by showing that Witchers and witches can have babies, even though that is Yennefer's entire struggle, and why
she can't be a mother.
Yeah, and why the pseudo adoption of Ciri with Yennefer and Geralt is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like it completely throws the gravity of that relationship out the window because, well, in the Witcher Blood Origin, you just have to want it bad enough. Seriously.
This is the power of...
Wow, I just thought of an awful...
No. No.
And then, of course,
no.
the news
you,
that after season 3...
Not that one. Not on stream.
I mean, look.
No.
Wow. And then, of course, the news
just...
from The Witcher about after season 3, Henry Cavill's out as Geralt, and then...
Should I be concerned?
It's just persistence.
No!
Oh, no, there was persistence.
Don't egg him on.
But no, the fact that Cavill's out, and then Liam Hemsworth, of all the Hemsworth brothers, Liam Hemsworth is the one.
All 2 of them?
3. Liam's being brought in to replace Cavill as Geralt. Like, I don't think Liam Hemsworth is a bad actor, but following up Henry Cavill, that is not a position you want to be.
There's some big britches to fill.
And of the Hemsworth brothers, he's not the one that stands a chance at following up Henry Cavill.
No.
Well, they can't have Chris because he's off figuring life out right now.
Apparently, according to Disney.
Well, I mean, that whole thing with his... Oh, did you not...
Which one?
Huh?
So he had that show on Disney.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that they were doing, I guess he found out that, like, he is, like, genetically receptive to the dimension.
Oh, yeah.
So he basically is like, I'm putting my career on hold so I can go spend time with my family and figure out what we're going to do.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good for him.
So it's probably
Awesome.
going to be a while before we see anything out of Chris, unfortunately.
That's cool.
I didn't know about that.
But no, and like that's...
So one of the Hemsworth brothers has to work.
And that's the thing. We can have a whole episode diving into the ins and outs of what's going on behind the scenes with The Witcher, or what's supposedly going on behind the scenes with The Witcher. All it really comes...
you mean how the creators don't want to actually follow the source material and basically are taking a dump on it every time they write a scene?
Yeah, and whether or not they want to agree that that's what's happening, that's a...
I mean, your star just left the show because of it, so...
Yeah. And then, of course, the meh, you had 2 biggies, which was The Crown, the latest season of that. It's good. But the meh being that The Crown, the latest season, yet again, pissed off the royal family because this whole
Is it not ever going to? Like...
Well, in general, it always does.
I was going to say, have you met the royal family? But who really has? They're all lizard people anyways.
Well, I guess incest and hanging on an Epstein Island are okay, but God forbid we make a show about you.
Fair.
Sorry, was that too real?
No, I just thought of the Christmas ornament joke that I sent you.
That's a good
Did
one.
I send that one to you?
No, but the thing with it is this latest season focused on the Princess Di stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what...
Oh, you mean how the
heard.
queen basically had her killed?
More like
how her husband was a piece of shit who like needed to himself and to stop queen consort, and how like she also shouldn't be the queen consort, but you know.
What was the fact that he was a very abusive husband?
That Princess Diana deserved better. Like
no, that 100% is made clear. That and
was it made clear? Because apparently the royal family still got hurt over it because like they couldn't quite accept it. But you know,
well, and like
don't mind me as I drop like 6 F-bombs in a row. Okay.
You good?
The latest season of The Crown.
I'm a little passionate about it because it makes me a little upset. So.
Well, the latest season of The Crown goes in and really, obviously, there's a lot of fiction mixed in with a lot of truth.
Fiction, but okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
But
if it wasn't fiction, do you think they'd really be that upset about it?
Well, there's enough truth in there to make it quite upsetting. Enough fiction to make them look even worse. That yeah, sure, I get it. But the problem here is that you have the crown that comes in and really makes the royal family look terrible about how they treated Princess Di.
Come on,
I think they do that themselves.
I was about to say, they're really good at doing that themselves.
And then, right after, you had the Harry and Meghan miniseries that came out that just really solidified it as really putting the public out there wondering how much of the fiction was really fiction, considering how much of what was depicted in the latest season of The Crown for Princess Di lines up almost beat by beat with what was done to Meghan Markle, and just the absolutely shitty behavior of everybody associated with the royal family to her for many reasons. Most of which were racist, but
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
We weren't in the
racist.
room. We don't know what happened.
Did you say that someone was in the room when it happened? The room when it happened? In the room when it happened?
But yes, so there was that, and then of course all the ups and downs that we've gotten from the leaks behind the new Avatar series, and whether or not that's how much of it's true, how much of it isn't, how much of it's going to end up actually working out. Don't know.
I didn't know James Cameron was working on a series.
No, like
Yeah.
Last Airbender.
Oh, then call it what it is. It's The Last Airbender.
No, it is. It is not.
Which one's made more money?
Which one
That's
had
what
the
I
name
thought.
first?
What?
I don't care.
Which one's made more money between Avatar and The Last Airbender, or which one made more money, The Last Airbender or The Good One?
Say that James Cameron's Avatar is the good one.
There's a lot of Avatar running around here, but nonetheless.
Blasphemy on you for ignoring Aang the way he was intended to be.
His name is Ong, sir.
Sokka's boomerang should be coming for your head soon. If
And
you
yet
could
I
ever
could-
throw it straight.
And yet I could be more rude.
But no, like
But yes.
I have hopes.
You deserve
I also
Azula.
still have. That's disrespectful to Azula, but continue.
But yes, so we'll. I mean that's the meh. Honestly, I have no idea how. Well, obviously, none of us really know how much of what's come out behind the scenes of that is true or not. We'll find out whenever it actually gets released.
Yeah.
If it gets released, we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Netflix. Disney, we already did a whole show on the Chapek out, Iger back.
But I think we also praise the mouse enough.
Yeah, I think so. And then anime had a fantastic year.
It really did.
Starting with the
Not with Crunchyroll and Funimation merging and now Sony owning it, which wasn't that funny that Sony's bitching about the fact that Microsoft wants to buy Activision, but they can basically own the only streaming service for anything anime.
Yeah.
Hey, Sony, hey, right here.
Sony do better.
No.
Do you need this button?
Yep.
I mean, technically...
Actually, no, even better. Go kill yourselves.
Ah, I caught that one in time.
I mean, technically, A1 Pictures is still separate, and they have their
That's
own
fair.
streaming. So there's still others.
That's fair.
But yeah,
But Sony has,
Yeah.
Sony does in fact basically have the monopoly over
No, without
anime
question.
streaming.
Yeah, without question. And,
But-
and like, I was not a fan of the Funimation Crunchyroll merger as far as streaming goes. But at the same time, it happened back in March. I've come to terms.
Unfortunate.
I'm more so about the business practices.
Oh yeah. But in general, though, My Heroes Academia Season 6 came out and has just been nothing but amazing.
Yep.
That is
You need
still...
to catch up. We're like 2 episodes behind.
2 or 3, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
I cried like a. I can't. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
Because that's actually my biggest.
Oh, the end of... I'm
I'm-
assuming, based on what you said, the end of the last episode you watched?
Yes.
Yeah.
With a certain villain.
Yes.
No, with a certain hero.
No. Certain villain.
There, well, yeah, that too.
No. Certain villain is what I was upset about.
Oh, twice. Got it.
Yes.
Well, I mean...
I was trying to avoid spoilers,
it was
but
like
yes.
back in the manga a while ago.
It still hit me like a dump truck.
Wait, so you haven't seen the other thing? The hero thing?
I know about the hero thing.
Oh yeah, that happens in the next.
Yes, I know about the hero thing.
It wasn't the same one as twice. Yeah, no, that. Yeah,
I know
that,
about the hero thing.
So the next episode, the end of the next episode's gonna. If twice hurt you, the end of the next episode's gonna be very, very
like
very brutal.
Twice was one of those villains that just like it.
Yeah.
His story just kind of hit me here. So
Because he was a psychopath.
Well, no, like it was more like
because he was schizophrenic.
Everything that he went through, like going through having his doubles, not even sure if he was the real one until finally like getting a minuscule bit of hurt to actually realize that he is in fact the real one. Trying to like form his own family with everyone that he surrounded himself with.
Murderous psychopaths?
I mean, yeah.
Family's family.
Okay, Cosby.
Jeez.
But Charles Manson.
But trying to find a family that actually accepted him, because he tried to fit into society and they pushed him aside and things like that.
Yeah, but that family was only using him.
Well,
which is also a very depressing storyline.
Well, I would say,
but
the aspect of that final scene of his that hurt me wasn't even his reaction. Out of nowhere, I was not expecting this one. It was Toga's reaction. Like the
other sociopath.
Yeah, while they had a close relationship, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
As her reaction, and that one hurt actually more than his.
I knew it was coming too, and I told
because
Mike,
I wasn't expecting it.
And I told Mike, and I was sitting there, and he was like, "You're good." I was like, "I'll be fine." Like, but no. So My Hero season 6 is going off amazingly. We're starting to get into some really good nitty gritty stuff. That's just.
And can we talk about that intro?
What the
very like classic comic book intro that we got that feels more comic book superhero than any of the other intros that My Heroes had.
Like the musical intro.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and just the animation style too.
Yeah, animation style for sure. I don't know. It's not necessarily my favorite intro. It's just it's good.
Yeah.
It's just. But
it's not my favorite song, but as far as the actual animation of the intro, if it had a different song, I think it would be number one. Otherwise,
let me give it the all-time low treatment because.
yes.
And of course, Demon Slayer making I say resurgence. So much so that I have some kids that I teach that I wouldn't have ever picked to be an anime fan. They ran in and they were like, Miss Nault, please tell, like, have you been watching Demon Slayer? I was like, who are you? Like, you watch anime? And they're like, yeah, I love Demon Slayer. I was like,
you little weeb.
Yes, I was like, since when are you a weeb? He's like, I'm not a weeb, I just watch Demon Slayer. I was like, that's the only anime you watch? I was like, okay, like, respect.
In all honesty, saying that the only thing you watch as far as anime goes is Demon Slayer is the same thing that when we were growing up is same thing that Dragon Ball Z was the only thing you watched. Same thing.
Which was not the only thing that I watched.
I thought more with this generation. I was more impressed with...
It's the entry into it.
Well, see, with this generation, I found not Demon Slayer to be an entry, but I found One Piece and Naruto to be this generation's intro.
Well, and that's
One Piece Boruto.
I'm sorry, but One Piece was
this generation's, our generations, the generations before, 2 generations from now.
And that's the thing. Like
that shit is never going to end.
And that's where the problem is with both of those is that they're both so long that you can't even. It's hard to say that those are the introductions everybody goes for, because anybody that understands how long they are avoids them both like the plague, no matter how good they are, because nobody wants to deal with the however many 100 episodes you got to get through. Like,
I didn't say stop.
That's just
I was more trying to take him the fact that he only said 100 episodes. For
I said hundreds. However many hundreds
still
of episodes.
Underselling it. 1,000 episodes you need to go through to get caught up with One Piece?
No, with One Piece, yes.
I have friends that are like, I have like friends and like regulars in the stores that are like
Naruto or Naruto? It's Naruto, right? Not Naruto. Yeah, Naruto.
4K no low stuff.
Isn't that technically under 1,000 episodes?
It is, but Naruto went on, and then they started, and then they did Shippuden, and then it's Boruto. So it's
I mean,
They have
by extension, yes.
One Piece is still just One Piece though.
Yes.
Is a problem.
Yeah, well,
because
no,
versus
it's
how
the
we have Dragon Ball.
issue.
Well, so we have Dragon Ball, and then there's also Dragon Ball Z, and then there's Dragon Ball Z GT, and then there's Dragon Ball Super.
no.
Dragon Ball GT.
Sorry,
No,
Not
GT.
ZG.
no.
And then-
it's Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. There is no Dragon Ball GT.
Just because Akira Toriyama was not associated with GT does not mean that it technically didn't exist.
Unfortunately, same thing.
No, the fact that there was
Crystal
nothing
Skull.
good that ever came out of it is why it didn't exist.
Hey, oi. Super
there,
Saiyan
Ken.
4
Trash.
was fantastic.
Trash.
And the Black Dragon Ball saga
Oh, you mean when
was actually pretty solid.
right? That was really solid when they basically made every character except for Vegeta and Goku completely useless again.
I mean, that's
He's not wrong.
kind of the whole shtick of Dragon Ball. If
Even the
even
latest.
Super, if you go when you went long enough, it became a thing.
No,
like Super,
the Universal
as
Survival arc, everybody was important in that fight.
everybody was important until the end,
Apparently I
in
forgot
which
to touch the
case only Goku and Frieza mattered, and Android 7 only mattered because 17 because he didn't die. That doesn't really count as being relevant as
Right,
a fighter.
except for the fact that-
it just means he survived.
Well, except for the fact that Gohan literally outed himself and somebody else when he was one of the strongest fighters still left in there. But he was the only character that was fast enough to actually
Apparently, I
help trap
tapped a button.
the Super Quick Bunny, whatever the shit his name is, I can't remember.
The super quick bunny.
It's fair. I don't even remember his name.
But nonetheless, Demon Slayer, I have a lot of kids that
Yes.
it's their intro anime.
And you guys
It's
both
their
haven't
start anime.
still haven't seen Demon Slayer, right? Fantastic.
I keep hearing good
Like-
things. It's just one of those like ADHD,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
overpower of just
Totally
like starting
fine.
a new thing. Like,
Season 1 is on Netflix. You can watch that. Season 2 is just Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Although if you're gonna watch it, same recommendation that you usually get for Super. The first story arc for season 2 for Demon Slayer is the same story as the movie. So with just a minor difference in a couple of the length of a couple scenes and some song choices.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're going to be better off watching the first season. The movie, skip the first arc of season 2 and go straight into the Entertainment District arc for season 2 because the movie is a lot more succinct as far as the way it's broken up than the arc within the season.
that's fair.
And it just... Oh, Rengoku. Oh, Rengoku. But no, even then though, I will say just even the animation of the movie beats the animation version of this for the series. Even though technically, if I remember correctly, that story for the series was just a recut version of the movie. Something about the animation just feels different. But no, it's fantastic. Although I will continue to go back to the fact that season 2, the Entertainment District arc, is still such a bastardized version of translation when technically it should be the Red Light District arc, because the whole thing is, well, it's based around the part of town with a bunch of geisha houses. Okay, like you're setting the whole premise up around the whorehouses, and you're going to call it the Entertainment District because you don't think the Western audience is going to be cool with you calling it the Red Light District.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen anime recently?
Seen TV recently?
More importantly, have you seen how prevalent the Monster Girl side of anime has
don't-
gotten recently?
we don't talk about
Are you
Rule
telling me?
34.
Are you telling me that a Western audience wouldn't be okay with just flat out calling it what it's supposed to be, the Red Light District arc?
That's fair.
Really?
But we had Demon Slayer.
Have you seen High School DxD? Or
what's the other one?
or
the high school that's in the jail.
oh, It's was it prison
Prison
something.
school?
Yes.
I
Or
think that sounds right.
yeah. Or even as much as I love it,
Assassination classroom?
oh that. But no,
Sometimes a
ReZero.
woman needs a certain kind of touch.
ReZero.
That's a different kind of anime.
ReZero, beginning a life in another world, and then of course there is the ever popular, never going to be finished, sadly.
You in English today are struggling.
I really am. One second. Continue on.
I was just gonna keep talking about like there's other animes that. So we had another one, Bleach, being like another old classic name, if you will, and kind of continuing on with current anime fans.
Yes.
Of course, we had some new ones. Had some new ones like Chainsaw Man, blowing the up, like Spy Family or Spy X Family.
No, it's Spy Family because the X is silent, just like with Hunter x Hunter.
I know, but I have a couple of students that would die on the hill that the X needs to be said. I'm like, okay, whatever, but you know, you do you.
Yeah, sure.
Mob Psycho Season 3 coming out, which I haven't seen Mob Psycho yet, but I've heard nothing but good things.
Me too.
Attack on Titan coming to an end. Somewhat. Was part 2 the final one part? I don't watch Attack on Titan because I kind of got over it. Like after 5 episodes.
So,
no.
Attack on Titan,
What?
final season, part 1, part 2,
There part 3.
possibly part 3,
Oh, they're going the
And
Walking
for-
Dead route.
or maybe just part 3. So I don't remember which one it was.
It's dead, Jim. We can stop beating
supposed
it.
to be.
So
but
was the Walking Dead.
Like-
and that shit
But
carried
even
on for
then,
longer than
considering
it needed to.
where the manga ended, because if I
Right.
remember correctly, the manga ended
the
properly.
manga ended.
The amount of story the manga had left.
Oh, so they
Right.
really did this
Even-
season, The Walking Dead.
Yeah, even
treatment to
if
it.
they end with part 3, the amount of story that they
Right.
could potentially go through with just one more part would not be enough to get to the end of the manga.
Because the series ended before
Unless
the
they just
manga.
really skip ahead and bastardize a lot of the story.
Oh, so give
like
it the
season-
Full Metal Alchemist as well as
No,
Promised Neverland treatment.
I was gonna say Game of Thrones season 8.
Also fair comparison. I don't know what is this one that you threw on there, Brad? The Way of the House Husband.
Honorable mention.
Do you have anything about this?
On Netflix.
Should I be concerned? House Husband seems like a.
You must see this. It technically came out last year, but it's been getting more popularity this year.
You mean 2022? Because that was in fact last year.
No, so it technically came out 2021, but season 2 came out 2022, and it's been gaining more popularity. The deal is, each episode's a collection of shorts.
Okay.
It is based around the biggest, baddest Yakuza boss who went full John Wick, killed all of his competition, was essentially the boogeyman to all of the Yakuza, and then decided right when he was at the peak of his criminal
Time for me to settle
height,
down.
he decided he no longer wanted to be a Yakuza boss. He wanted to be a stay-at-home husband taking care of his wife because he loved...
the opposite of John Wick.
Because he loved her so much. So he retired. Nobody knew what happened to him. And he went
Precursor
home
to John Wick?
to become the best possible stay-at-home husband you can.
Husbando.
Yeah, it is the way of the house husbando, technically. But the thing is, like, he goes in, learns gourmet cooking for his wife.
Oh, he's a simp.
Starts
Why can't you do that for me?
starts a popular, a
think
genuinely
you
successful
think of cooking pretty well.
Instagram for their cat.
Oh, so he's a bitch.
Goes, like, first episode, one of the best things. So 2 best back-to-back scenes from the very first episode. He's going out grocery shopping. to try to put together an amazing dinner for his wife because she was going to have a big day at work, and one of the guys that used to be under him in the Yakuza just happens to stumble across him at the grocery store because right as he was going, where the hell did the boss go? And he sees him, trying to, freak out because, oh my gosh, he was like, your cabbage is so fantastically priced. And, going in, and he's like, boss! What happened? And he, what happened? Where'd you go? And he just looks at him. I have a coupon for this, by the way. And he goes off, takes him, and then he's like, okay, takes him to his cooking class afterward, where he puts together this amazing dish. Wows everybody else in the cooking class. The guy just freaks out, throws the dish on the floor. What happened to you? Why are you doing this? He beats the hell out of this guy,
for
and then they
his food.
Together clean up the mess that they made and apologize to the class. Then he goes home, makes an amazing gourmet dinner for his wife, and then the following short involves a rival Yakuza boss and his right-hand man running into this guy as he's going to a massive sale at a department store trying to get some new winter clothes for his wife.
Oh my gosh.
It sounds as coherent as Babylon.
It is...
It
sounds batshit. It is hilarious. It's hilarious and one of the funniest damn things you can watch. It's amazing.
Okay.
No Game No Life. Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. So the other, in addition, like High School DC, how can we forget about No Game No Life?
Okay.
As far as whether or not the red light district is acceptable.
That's fair. That's fair. And something that Mike and I think are very nerdy and some people would be super passionate about.
Wrestling.
Wednesday nights are for wrestling, Brad. It's for me personally, because I'm more an AEW fan than WWE, but...
You weirdos.
Did you not hear him just talking about...
This bitch.
The way of the house husband? And he calls us weird?
Yeah.
For enjoying watching grown men beat the living shit out of each other?
And women.
No.
And women.
Pretend to beat the shit out of each other. Let's be honest.
Run downstairs and get me a folding chair.
I think he has one up here, probably, knowing him.
Oh, I could give you a chair shot
we can
live on...
Would we like to recreate... Can we recreate AEW All Out just real quick?
No, we're not gonna...
I don't want to break that, though.
Yeah, I would break that.
No, I don't want to break that over
I'd rather
you.
break a chair over your back.
Yeah, I'd rather break a chair or throw you through a folding table. Like, that's precious, though.
Yeah.
No, so
it holds up. It holds up to a beating.
Yep.
In a surprise turn, like, hold on, so how many years has Vince McMahon been a part of WWE?
40.
I mean, he started with WWF. Did he found WWF?
I mean,
Yeah.
Wasn't he also one of the people?
Territories and all of that.
Was he also one of the people that separated WWE into? Was he part of separating it into SmackDown and all the other branches? Don't look at me like that.
It's still the same company.
I know,
they just
but
created
like
the new shows.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Vince McMahon has been the creative head of the WWF, WWE, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Even I
For
knew
years.
Yeah.
that. Even I.
Yeah, no, I was making sure that I had the like he was the one who created the new shows
Vince
and
also
stuff.
liked to perform hot Cosbys in his spare time.
Yes, and
on employees,
and then he had
decided to
use company money at the tune of what 4.1 million.
No, they found out it was more than that. It was
24.1 million.
That's some astronomical
40 million,
number.
like using company money as hush money
for hot Cosbys.
So on
Louis
July,
C.K. got it.
So for
No, Louis C.K. at least asked first.
Yeah.
Ask.
He asked. Even all of the women said that he asked.
But the fact that on July
Technically, no, didn't matter, though,
22nd, so on July 22nd of this year,
Yep.
he was
To quote Kenny Powers, Vince McMahon, you're out.
Yeah, like so much that Vince McMahon is not the like any part of WWE at this point.
He's
After
still
40
majority.
years.
He's still the majority shareholder, but yeah, he has
he has
nothing
no
to do
more
with creative,
yeah,
anything like that.
which is insane to think about when you think about the history of WWE and wrestling in general. That was a shock that we got going to a friend's wedding of all
I always
things.
thought
Like,
they were gonna. I always thought that they were gonna find the old bastard slumped over his desk.
yeah, like I honestly thought that his demise was going to be that he was coked out of mind and found him dead. Like that was the point that I'd hit with him and Ric Flair, but that's a whole woo. But what? So that was a shock within that sort of realm, and then the other shock happened with AEW at All Out.
That little bitch CM Punk running his. Out.
There you go. Okay, sorry.
You know what? You know what, Phil?
Next time, keep your How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was bad.
Too much?
Too
much? Not enough?
So that you don't know, here's
wanna drink
the
your apple tea now.
here's the lore for you. Here's the background for you. CM Punk was running mouth, and he is okay. And he started crap with numerous people across AEW. One of which it was
At a press conference.
Well, I was gonna back up a little bit further. Like he
Isn't
started
the press conference thing like just a fighting
No, not when
thing
it's
in general?
not when you're running
No.
down actual executives of the company
yes, and so
and the owner sitting next to you letting it happen.
yeah.
Ooh, yeah. No,
So
that's-
so all that happens. CM Punk gets the title. Correct. Yes, that's how it ended before the press conference.
Yes.
So he gets the title. He's
So
sitting.
they actually allowed the script to go through with that one?
No, so
This
like it was
happens
so
after.
it was happened after. So
Oh.
during All Out, he gets his title.
Sure.
So he's holding it, things like that. And he's sitting down, and Tony Khan is right beside him, looking oblivious, mind you, and completely dismissive of everything that he's saying, basically claiming the fact that he is the number one babyface of the industry, that he's not being used correctly, and that like he doesn't understand what's going on within this company, and that executive VPs executive VPs, that's their title, don't even know what's going on, and that they're just being child's play and whatnot.
They can't run a target.
They don't even know how to like run like a target and things like that. And Tony Khan's just like, just like completely like ignoring everything. Yes, exactly, ignoring what's going on. And then during, I think it jumps over, and it's Chris Jericho comes.
It was after.
It was
Jericho.
so CM Punk leaves. Someone else is being interviewed. They come over, and Chris basically informs Tony Khan like, "Hey, there's something going on backstage." Turns out that Kenny Omega and Matt and Nick Jackson come up, basically trying to figure out like what he's talking about.
Because those are the executive vice presidents that he ran down.
They're having like she's like, "Hey, let's have a conversation about what's going on," because that was completely uncalled for during your press conference. A punch gets thrown and a fight breaks out, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is such great like marketing." Blah blah blah. They're like, no, like we have to get law enforcement involved because this wasn't part of any sort of.
And keep in mind, this wasn't just they just went and confronted him as wrestlers that are trying. They went with the head of talent relations. They went with the head of the legal department.
Yeah. To like try to have a conversation about
And
what
a
just
fight
happened.
broke out. A grown man bit another grown man.
Yeah.
Tyson?
Like, it was ridiculous. And so, Kenny Omega, Matt and Nick Jackson as the Young Bucks had just won the trios title, the first trios title. So then this fight breaks out. Literally the next day, they're having like within 24 hours, they're having to come out and they're basically like, yeah, so we had to abandon both this title and the trios title. So we're gonna have to do like a whole we're gonna do a bracket system, tournament style. For who's going to go up for the next two people to go up for this title, and then we're going to have to basically redo the trios title. Like it was a whole shit show, and everyone at first like, oh no, it's just great press. They're like, no, like we had to call like police officer in to make a like legal statement and file a police report over assault between everybody, and it was like a 2-month long investigation as to who actually threw the first punch. For CM Punk, who was a big name, if you will, with WWE. It was so upsetting when he retired. after what, a 7.5 year retirement
Yep.
from wrestling, comes back and makes his debut in his hometown.
Is with the company for about a year and then.
Yes, was with the company for just over a year and then had to be released. Like,
Lovely.
just, I don't know, that's crazy in terms of like if you follow wrestling, that whole thing was just a
And essentially, the stuff that's coming out now is basically that people want cancer in the locker room before they want CM Punk back in the locker room.
Yeah.
Or Staph or MRSA.
yeah,
Or
like
COVID.
they were saying that with CM Punk on there, like it was like some of the worst times for AEW.
Wow.
Yeah, but somehow he's the number one babyface. Like, I think I have to agree with Landon on this. When
Oh, that
he-
CM Punk's a.
well, no, not that one. That he
yeah.
called CM on Twitter, and then CM Punk lashed out and blocked our friend on Twitter because he decided to call him
No, that was the other way around.
other way. Oh yeah, that's right. CM Punk called our friend Landon and then blocked him on Twitter because he couldn't handle it. A grown man throwing a hissy fit on Twitter.
Isn't that what Twitter's meant for?
Like, the hissy fits from grown men?
Yes. Like, isn't that
He
historically
And literally,
the
I
point?
retweeted-
I want to say, and please, Landon, if you see this, correct me if I'm wrong. But like,
dude, it's the best thing.
like he literally, like CM Punk tweeted at him like, "How is a Landon going to call me out like this, bro?"
like retweeted what our buddy Landon said and then blocked him.
Okay.
Yeah,
It was funny.
it was funny, but like that was about what, 2 months before All Out when that happened.
No, God, no. That was years ago. That was back when he was with the WWE.
No, I thought it was recently that he called him that and had him blocked.
No, that was back when he was with the WWE.
Was it really?
Yes.
Okay.
He just brought it
Landon-
up when
Oh, really?
When they were at the
Like, just
apartment watching the show.
I don't know. Just
Oh yeah, no, I've known about that for years. That was hilarious.
I don't know. Just that was crazy in terms of if like, because trust me, there's a lot of nerds who follow wrestling.
Yep.
Wrestling.
Wrestling.
But Wednesday nights are for
Really,
wrestling.
nerds follow the sport that's basically the way that
Superheroes?
theater kids are able to look tough later on in life. Like
I wouldn't call them theater kids, but
Yeah, I wouldn't call Brock Lesnar a theater kid.
I wouldn't call MJF a theater kid. I'd call him a
Really,
Jew,
though?
but yeah.
really though, like
I wouldn't call these kids
amount
theater
of
kids.
the amount of melodrama.
I would maybe
you
call the
get from this.
acclaimed theater kids. I would call the acclaimed theater kids. The acclaimed have arrived. Like, don't touch my fingers. We can't do that on this show.
Yes, we can.
No, we can't.
We have an
please
audio.
don't touch
we
my
have an audio
fingers.
censor. We don't have a
Video
visual
censor.
censor.
Leave my hands alone.
Okay, we're done with wrestling.
Okay. But yeah.
Okay. Well, that
was the biggest thing
That's an
wrestling.
interesting side.
And also, I'm really impressed that like you let me just tell the whole thing. Like,
Nah, I wasn't gonna stop you.
was I wrong with anything? Did I actually nail on the head?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Neat.
Sorry.
So
Speaking of stages,
so we talked about this back at Madness a few times back, but back over the summer with San Diego Comic-Con, this year comics for the first time in
Putting the comic back in Comic-Con.
a couple decades,
Yeah.
actually took center stage and got the majority of the good press and the majority of the actual good news.
yeah.
You had, of course, Marvel's Avengers versus X-Men versus Eternals Judgment Day.
Yep.
Which apparently the current rumor is that there's a possibility that the next Eternals movie could be based on Judgment Day.
It would make sense.
Especially,
There's a cat. Can't
primarily
bite me.
because of the way that the first Eternals movie ended.
Judgment.
Yeah,
Past.
that having trying to follow through with that and then going to the Judgment phase for the second movie seems like it would be, But and of course DC had their Dark Crisis, which later got rebranded to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. that was kind of a cluster. Like the whole thing with Dark
Aspects
Crisis,
of it
it started
were-
interesting and then just devolved pretty quickly as far as a cohesive narrative.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I think Dark Crisis had some very interesting ideas, and the fact that they, like, giving Jonathan Kent a more prominent position as the new Superman, giving
The bi
Dick
Superman?
Grayson and Damian Wayne and
Is that a bi
the
Superman? I think was that the one that's I.
yeah.
Yeah.
And giving you know, the second generation of heroes a chance to shine. I think that's a good idea. Was honestly necessary, but I think the biggest flaw with the plan for Dark Crisis, aside from the very convoluted nature of what finally happened and the fact that somehow they made the underlying problem and solution to that problem harder to understand than Crisis on Infinite Earths was.
Right.
I think that ultimately the biggest problem with Dark Crisis was that DC gave a taste of the one thing that they're never gonna give the fans of the comics. They gave a taste of what it would be like if the legacy heroes stepped aside and the next generation of heroes that have been teased as the next prospective heroes or the sidekicks for so long stepped up as the mainline superheroes. Teased it, and then they took it away. And we all know they're never gonna go back to giving those characters the mainline stories, even though we all know that if you were to take away Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, like the original, like all of the original Justice League, all of the original superheroes, and going with every one of these secondary level heroes and sidekicks and make them the primaries and just continue on with the story with all the original superheroes being in the background as support characters, it would be a fascinating way to do the stories. And one time I will say Marvel did it better. Marvel allowed exactly that scenario to follow through many times, and it worked out.
Yeah.
DC could have, and they've never done it. In fact, they just decided instead of doing that, they rebooted and called it good.
Yeah.
The fact that they teased that and then are not going to fulfill that, I think, is the biggest flaw with the Dark Crisis story overall.
DC in
If they
general right
followed
now.
through and said, okay, we finished Dark Crisis, now we're going to go ahead and give those characters a mainline story. We're going to give Nightwing a mainline, the mainline story as the next Batman. We're going to give we're gonna give who are the newest Green Lanterns post John Stewart?
Shit.
It's
Well, I mean, post John Stewart, there's been several.
the Earth Green Lanterns.
Kyle Rayner, Simon Baz.
No, Kyle was before John Stewart.
No, John Stewart was the third. Kyle was the fourth.
That was the other way around. Okay. So the most there's Baz and then there's
The chick, what's her
Jessica
name?
Cruz.
Cruz, yeah.
so like if you gave Jessica Cruz and what was his first name, Baz?
Simon Baz.
Some Baz, if you gave them the mainline Green Lantern story like they tried to originally, and but if they actually followed through, if they took the Aquaman storyline and actually gave that to what's his name, Aquaboy, Aqualad, whatever. What's his name? I should know this because of Young Justice.
Which one?
The version that was in Young Justice, the one that
That's,
during Dark Crisis it became Aquaman.
That's Calder, right?
Calder, yeah. if they actually follow through with all that, and then of course Wonder Girl becoming Wonder Woman, if they follow through with all that as like what happens next, I personally think that would be like the renaissance for DC Comics. Like that would be the time that everybody's going to remember moving forward, where we finally got new stories, we finally got new characters to follow that would give us something different from the norm.
Yeah.
I don't think the editors over at DC have the guts to do it.
I don't know.
They are unlike Marvel. They are so stuck in their ways. They do not have an adventurous bone in their body as far as new stories.
Yeah.
Marvel's at least willing to try something new and fail and try something else.
Right.
Once again, Ironheart, Amadeus Cho, basically everybody from even Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, like everything about recent Marvel, even a new, even moving Falcon over as the new Captain America, everything about that. They're willing to do the one thing DC won't, and that's why, as far as storytelling, I think Marvel is going to keep beating DC at that.
Yeah.
Even
We
though
also, like,
they could do so good.
You also have the overhaul. Like now, granted, like we just talked about the James Gunn and whatnot, but you have to have someone who has an overarching idea.
Yeah.
And able to like work with other directors and say like, this is where the story needs to go. Elements you need to include. Now go.
Yep.
Like you have to have someone that's like that.
Yeah.
And I think DC hasn't found that person yet. Of course, we haven't had a chance to see how James Gunn is going to do. But
if they'll let him influence the comics.
yeah.
They won't.
But
Of course, IDW, like we mentioned back at during the Comic-Con coverage, IDW has been having a fantastic year with the Ninja Turtles.
Yep.
And of course, the
Boom
release
Studio.
back in November of The Last Ronin, The Lost Years. Fantastic. Still some of the best writing that I think I've ever seen for the Ninja Turtles. And then, of course, Boom Studios with Power Rangers and Sonic. Both of which, Sonic's had some amazing stories, but even more than that, I think Power Rangers has been having some of the best stories that we could have ever asked for.
Power Rangers.
And like everybody that's been asking for an adult Power Rangers after that very high budget fan film, was it 3-4 years ago? Whatever it was. Boom Studios is giving that to us in comics.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a Death Ranger in this most recent iteration. You cannot tell me that they are not giving us the Power Rangers we deserve and are killing
As
it.
adults that we want. Like
They are killing
Go,
it.
go, Power Rangers.
They even went back with the original 3 that got kicked from Mighty Morphin with Jason Trini and Zach, and gave them their own spin-off explaining their leave of absence and are doing their own thing out in the universe. Like they're giving us the Power Rangers we deserve without question, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on this one.
Yeah.
Like
you're on.
go read the comics. It is if you grew up with Power Rangers, this is what you've been asking for. Just go.
So
And then games.
Games. Try to be a little quick. We already kind of mentioned it that Sony is blocked
Yep.
Microsoft's purchase of Activision, citing we don't want a monopoly in the gaming industry, but they can have exclusives, but God forbid that Microsoft does.
No, they don't have exclusives because all of the games that are Sony exclusives came to PC 5 years after they released, so they're not exclusives anymore.
Cry me a river. Like, that's.
No, yeah. Sony.
Now, I will say I am grateful. Now, Death Stranding came to PC rather quickly. Actually, it came at the same time. It was on Steam. But
Which
Death
was-
Stranding did recently make it to Xbox Game Pass for PC. which is what you said, the argument of not having the exclusive rights anymore, but
Right, but still won't make it to console.
won't make it to Xbox console. No, not at all.
And it came out when? It came out 3 years after. It came to PC 3 years after.
I
the
think
game
so.
Came out?
That sounds right.
2019.
Is that when Death Stranding came out?
Yeah.
Death Stranding 2 was announced for 2024, which I am super duper excited about, but that's a whole other
Whole other can of worms.
whole other topic, which also Death Stranding starred Mads Mikkelsen, and it was fantastic. November 8th, 2019, so it just had its 3-year anniversary. So just under 3 years after it came out is when it finally came to Xbox Game Pass, for PC though, but not for console. But, so they're trying to block that because they're worried about, because now granted, I will say Microsoft did purchase a lot of small studios. I say smaller
Many.
studios.
Well,
Many.
Sony did the exact same thing, though.
Sony got more media studios than actual
Most.
game studios.
Yeah.
But
Insomniac, they finally formally purchased Naughty Dog.
and then 2 games that were notable for the year. I did a whole spiel about Legends Arceus, or Arceus for some people. How it kind of gave us a new template for Pokemon going forward. And Scarlet and Violet's kind of evidence of that. But the thing with Scarlet and Violet is that even Game Freak has since come out and apologized about how they were worried about meeting a deadline as opposed to releasing a fully finished game, because they wanted to pull from Arceus with the open world concept. You get to see the Pokemon before you actually run into them, which is what they did. And I will say this is the best. It is the best worst Pokemon game that's come out for Scarlet and Violet. In terms of, it is the best storyline I think I've ever had. I haven't cried over a Pokemon game since Pokemon 2000. Like the movie was the last time I cried over Pokemon, for being entirely honest.
Yeah.
Celebi got me a little bit, but like, like we kind of also knew where that was going with story-wise, but like I cried playing Scarlet and Violet, like sobbed openly multiple times, at least 3 times I think, right, is when you caught me crying.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 storylines in Scarlet and Violet. It also has a new game plus version of it, which kind of lets you dive a little bit further into some of the backgrounds and whatnot, and kind of like some of the things that the characters face, which was also very gut wrenching. But in terms of worse though, like I haven't seen frame rate drop like that on a console since like the end of PlayStation 3.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, it really is, because there was a lot of really good things in Scarlet and Violet, and there was a lot of things that they took from Arceus that were like, you're like, damn, like this is something different for a mainline Pokemon game that we haven't seen before.
Getting to like actually actively send your Pokemon out to walk beside you, and they can go and like mess with other Pokemon and interact with them and like other people, and you can interact with them and they can pick up items for you, and you can visually see shinies out in the wild as opposed to
I saw that like the interacting with the Pokemon and having out, and I
There's auto battles
that was
in
like the
Scarlet and
original
Violet.
thing that I looked at and saw thought that's got to be like a massive plus for the game.
It's
right?
cool. Like it's really cool. But you don't get as much experience.
Yeah.
And there's a couple Pokemon that have to evolve. No. They have to walk with you to evolve. There's 3 Pokemon that have to walk with you to evolve in Scarlet and Violet, which is a really interesting concept because they always have a few that have gimmicky evolutions, such as Haunter into Gengar you have to trade. Slow Poke into Slow King you have to trade. But
So, kind of like the Pokemon Go stipulations for certain Pokemon.
yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, there's the frame rate drop. Like there's literally like you're in the classroom and you see kids like like you see kids where they sit at desks and they like kick their feet sort of thing. The animation for kicking feet is like kick, kick. Like it goes from this frame to this frame to this frame to this frame. There's no like yeah. People walking. If I turn and face you and like you're an NPC and you're like walking this direction and I turn away and turn back to where you were, you will restart here and keep walking. Like you won't have like continued walking. As soon as I turn away, you basically unrender, and when I turn back, you basically start back to where your original start post was. It's weird. So like there's a lot of like technical stuff that there's an issue with Scarlet and Violet.
Wow.
Gameplay and story-wise, phenomenal. So it's a really weird, like it's the best worst Pokemon game.
Huh.
You get the best of both worlds.
Or I guess worst best if you want to go
You
with
chill it out, take it slow, then you rock out the show.
Because you get the best of both worlds, in case you were missing it already. But I don't know about Mike. Mike, unfortunately, is one of those people that has a backlog that is tremendous. And then I think you also fall in the same category that Mike and I do music-wise, where you play the same thing over and over.
That's one way to put it, yes.
I think my personal game of the year was one that I was surprised about, which is actually going to be High on Life. And it just came out like a month ago.
That's fair.
In case you don't know, High on Life is made by Squanch Games, which is in partnership with Justin Rowland. And if you don't know that name, it's
Squanchy.
Rick and Morty. I didn't know what to expect because everyone thought, like, since it says High on Life, everyone's like, oh, like it's a game where you're playing a person that's just on an acid trip. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's give it a try. Like, I've heard good things. It is not that. The premise of it, have you looked up anything about it after I said something about it?
I've seen
You know
a little
about
bit of
it because I've talked to you about
I've
it.
seen a little bit of gameplay. I have not actually looked up the actual like synopsis.
So the premise of it is that, and because it starts off very early on for you to see it, there is an alien cartel alien cartel called the G3 cartel that have found out that you can smoke other life forms to get high. Okay? They invade Earth to be their new drug supply, and you've taken it up, your character has taken it upon themselves to do what they can to take down the G3 cartel to save Earth and find your parents. Like, that's the story. There's some dark parts to it that I don't want to spoil that recently I've talked about with you because you're cool with me talking, because I need to talk to somebody about it. This is the first game in a while. Like, 'cause I was like, I'm good at shooters. I know what I'm doing. I put it on normal, and I'm actually having to, like, pay attention to game mechanics. Like, I'm doing a raid on, like, WoW or, like, Destiny, having to pay attention to game mechanics to actually get through these boss fights. Like, actively paying attention to game mechanics. And I can't just use one gun, because you get 4 guns that you can use throughout the game. One's like a typical sort of like semi-automatic pistol.
Okay.
That has an ability. There's one that's like the shotgun. Of course, he has an ability. There's one that's like an SMG, and she has an ability. And then there is one that's like, I want to say noob tube, but it shoots kind of like noob tube, but without the explosions.
I'm going to go ahead and ask the question. I think a lot of people that have not played this are probably going to ask. You're referring to the weapons with gendered pronouns.
Yep.
Are they alive?
Yeah.
So these are living weapons.
Yes, and the guns are actually also an alien race called Gatlians. And there's
Galleons
a whole...
or Gatlians?
Gatlians, like a... Yeah. Yes.
Uh-huh.
And, like, they all have different abilities. They have different personalities. One, I think, is also a take on a trans male to female.
Sure.
Or, sorry, female to male. Female to male.
Okay.
Because he can, he refers to his babies, and he has babies, and you shoot his babies. And when you actually, there's at one point you put the guns down on a table, and you can see them all laid out, and he has breast.
Shoot his babies as in...
That's the ammo.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
it's a trippy game, but the story's been great. The gameplay has been fantastic. The boss fights are actually something I'm having to pay attention to. Of course, you have, like, your waves and things like that of, like, typical mobs coming at you and ads and whatnot. But, like, this game actually is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And there's also some hidden lore that I was telling Mike that they've already set up to have a sequel. For a character that you can, like, investigate on your own if you want to get background on. That I read, you can actually find out if you play after you beat the game. There's a secret, like, scene that you can go to get more details about him and find out that everything that if you did the research, you can unlock, like, a secret ending to find out that this person is actually a bad guy. And so they're already set up for, like, a second one. Like...
Huh. Okay.
High on Life's my game of the year. As trippy as the game is, it is probably my game of the year. Okay. There's only been one upset that I've had with the entire game. And it overstimulated my ADHD, and I was in my own personal hell. There's this tiny little alien that basically is like, oh yeah, I want to take down the G3 cartel with you. Yeah, let's go up. But he's like, I'm going to be your best friend. I swear the voice actor recorded an 8-minute monologue where he doesn't even take a breath. because like he is talking to you for 8 minutes straight while you're trying to figure out where you need to go. And all of a sudden he'll say like, okay guys, I'll be quiet now and I'll be here in case you do something. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can think for a second. And I took a zip line. He goes, oh my gosh, that's so cool. And he restarted the entire 8-minute monologue. Like, I looked at Mike, I was like, I'm about to put the controller down and walk away because I can't handle this.
Yep.
I listened to his monologue about 4 times in a 20-minute span until finally I got to where like he was like, oh, I have a date, I'm gonna go, okay, bye. I was like, that's all I had to do to get rid of him? Was to get to this specific spot? And then he was gonna leave me alone? I could have ended my suffering instead of doing my completionist bullshit of going and exploring everything, and I could have ended my suffering 15 minutes sooner by just going here. That's my only upset with the entire game, is that one part.
Yep.
Like, the game's great, and I would highly recommend it for people to play. Obviously, it is in fact rated M, so please at least beat the 17.
No kiddos playing this.
Please
one.
no kids, but like the game is like, I would recommend it to people if they're looking for like a fun shooter that kind of breaks the mold, but breaks the monotony.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like there's a storyline with what happened with the Galleons and how they came. I don't want to say came to be, but how you got to come across them. Of everything that's going on with the G3 cartel. There is some underlying, there's like a couple of things where at one point one of the guns is like, oh, so would you say that this is a take on fragility of man? It's like, yeah, I guess this is. Like doing typical Justin Roiland philosophical bullshit, but like that kind of actually hits home surprisingly enough, and it's incredibly nuanced presentation. But
Sure.
yeah, no, like, I don't know. It's a good game. Like, it's gonna sound weird coming from me, someone who's like, oh my gosh, Legend of Zelda. Oh my gosh, Animal Crossing. Oh my gosh, Stardew Valley. I'm like, yeah, no, high on life. Game of the year. Let's go. Like,
Okay.
what?
You.
Do you have any other takes? Because
No, because I haven't played enough games this year.
that's fair. And you've played the same game this year. Old Republic.
For the most part.
A game that came out 12 years ago.
I mean,
Your taste in video games, like my taste in music, unchanging.
I don't have a lot of time for games. I play some new ones here and there, but overall, when I have time to game, I like to stick to what I enjoy.
Yeah.
And the Old Republic is a pretty consistent mainstay for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I can respect that.
I will say that while there was a little bit of stagnation with some past updates, this year we've had a couple of massive updates with versions 7.0, 7.1, and
That's cute.
7.2.
Wow, I was on like 15 or 18 or whatever.
Yeah, with some not just some great storyline updates for 7.0 and 7.2, but some good quality of life updates, which really do update the interface to be a lot more streamlined for not just the modern MMO, but also for a lot of what players that have been playing for the whole time have been asking for, to just make things a bit easier to work with. And it's looking like the next major update, 7.3 or whatever it's going to end up being, is going to finally update the entire game to jump over to 64-bit rather than 32-bit software, so that it's going to be able to actually handle a complete overhaul of graphics and coding for the entire game, not just the newest content, for more modern processors that are able to, give us better graphics for the original content, that will be able to make it match up with the latest stuff, and it'll potentially end up working out great, as long as they can finish working out the bugs that are currently being dealt with on the test servers. So yeah, that's it. It's great. I still think a game that's worth joining now, even by MMO standards. So yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Otherwise, unless we want to go super depressing for the end for the in memoriam section.
I think we can at least go through the list, but not necessarily. If we linger, I think that's when it's going to get depressing.
Fair.
More reflect on and recognize, but not dwell.
Sure. And keep in mind, this would be the list of people who have been directly or adjacently connected to the type of media that we discuss, not necessarily media overall, considering, we're decently niche, but not necessarily completely. So there's a little bit of overlap with just generic Hollywood media rather than just explicitly nerdy.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want to read it? Do you want me to read it?
Mike?
Do you want to read it? You've been oddly quiet for the stream.
Well, you guys were just talking, so I was just kind of hanging out. So.
Looking pretty.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So no, I mean the in memoriam, and like we said, this isn't everybody. This is names that obviously are reflective of what we do and what we talk about here. So, but I mean, Kevin Conroy was one that hit really hard. Jason David Frank was one, especially going back to the men's mental health and whatnot. That whole thing that's coming out about that, unfortunately. Sidney Poitier, Betty White, Meatloaf, Ray Liotta, James Caan, Paul Sorvino, Bernard Cribbins. Did I say that right?
Yep. That would be Doctor Who. For those of you who enjoyed the David Tennant era of Doctor Who, that's Wilf or Wilfred Mott. The man, the one man who the Doctor has openly admitted that he would be proud if he was his father.
Yeah, he debuted in the Christmas episode, right?
Yep.
That's a really
second
good
Christmas
one.
episode.
That's a
the
really
second
good
Christmas
episode
of the David Tennant era, and that was.
I think he was like a completely silent character for like 80% of the episode, right?
No, so he was when they beamed down to Earth.
Yep.
And he was working at a newsstand. So basically.
Yep. And he saw everything, but
So
like just kind of.
So the first season of David Tennant, you had Billie Piper as the companion. And then she left after that first season of David Tennant. Everybody was depressed because Billie Piper was amazing. So then, everybody was wondering who's going to be the next companion. And in the Christmas episode, we got a tease for who could have been, which would have been. Do you remember?
Who the villain could have been?
No, who the companion could have been.
No.
Kylie Minogue.
That's right.
It could have been Kylie Minogue. So we got the whole episode teasing that she was going to be the next companion, and then at the very end of the episode we found out not gonna. But during that we got introduced to a guy.
Yeah.
So the whole episode was about really Space Titanic.
Yes, actually, which is also why you would like that episode.
Quite literally. Then they go down, they beam down to Earth on Christmas Eve to go, and the aliens wanted to explore Earth and the weird backwards customs of Earth for Christmas, because the tour guide had a very odd understanding of what Earth customs were, and the horrors of Santa Claus, and like amazing. And Wilf is working a newsstand talking to, and when everybody beams down, it's like, why is nobody on the streets? And Wilf's the one guy out there in the newsstand. Why would anybody be in the street? The last the last 3 Christmases we've had, aliens came and invaded and destroyed everything. Why would anybody be out? Well, why are you here? Because
someone's got to give out the news.
Well, no, because he was a retired member of the Royal Military, and I'm here to do my duty and serve the people that are out. And like he is such an endearing character that when he comes back as a side character a whole season later, that you just go,
people were rejoiced.
oh, I love you. And then by the end of the David Tennant era, he is so endearing to the fan base as well as David Tennant that he's the one character that the Doctor, who is hundreds of years old, stops us and says that not only does he like him as a person, but he would be honored if he was his father, grandfather.
It's a good episode.
Like, it is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So sorry, continue.
Bernard, it was that was one that hurt personally, but yeah.
Yeah. Nichelle Nichols.
Oh
Yeah. Olivia Newton-John.
That one hurt.
Dame Angela Lansbury. That one sucked a lot. Coolio. Yeah. Robbie Coltrane.
And for those of you who do not recognize the name, Hagrid.
Hagrid.
Leslie Jordan.
Even though you should know Robbie Coltrane, he's done so much.
Oh yeah.
Did so much.
Yeah. Bob Saget. That one sucked quite a bit. Louis Anderson. Again, Barbara Walters, which we were talking about earlier. Kirstie Alley, Gilbert Godfrey, William Hurt, Stephen Boss, Twitch.
Yeah, which for those of you who are
Ellen's DJ.
been with big with the dance scene with So You Think You Can Dance, or if you watch the Ellen Show, he started off with So You Think You Can Dance, then became the hype man for Ellen on the Ellen Show, and then became the producer executive producer, whatever.
Men and mental health.
Yeah, like that was one that was a shock to everybody because he was just like with Robin Williams. Everybody that knew him considered him to be like the guy, like the personality that lifted everybody else up, the one that everybody looked to when they were feeling down, and that not just that happened, but how it happened.
No.
It shocked and hurt so many people.
No.
Like that, nobody saw that coming.
So, Alan Grant, Kevin O'Neill, Alan Grant again.
Oh, whoops.
Editing issue.
George Perez, which that one sucked quite a bit too.
Yeah. And for the last couple names, if you don't recognize them, comics.
Yep.
If you know, we did a lot of actors, but comics.
If you don't know who George Perez is, I hate you.
George Perez was a
legend.
Without question, he's up there with Stan Lee as far as legends of the industry.
Easily.
So, yeah. There's so
the highs and lows
so
of
many
2022.
more. And when we were trying to go through and figure out just what the collated version of the list was, it was hard to even bring it down to just this length because there were so many this year.
2022 took a lot,
which is saying something considering how many we've lost over the last several. But this year felt like it had a lot.
20.
Yeah,
I think 22 just hit more because it's just kind of. I don't know. We keep getting berated with death these last few years, but like, just when you thought you were out of the thick of it, it just kind of comes up and slaps you in the face again. I was gonna say something else, but
there were so many.
Decorum.
Well, there were so many legends that were of the industry that were on the list this year compared to other years where you had a couple legends, but then there were just some very well-known names. So
yeah. I think that kind of wraps up 2022, though.
Sadly, yes.
Or gratefully, because 2023 could be phenomenal, but
we'll see. We will see.
Shall indeed. But with that, guys,
to quote Bender at the end of
Bender bending Rodriguez.
Yeah, at the end of The Beast of a Billion Bags. Into the breach meat bags. Or not.
Breach we go.
And if you made it this far in the episode, that is fantastic. But we will definitely be making sure to put some chapter marks for this episode in particular, so you can jump around
Mr. Editor.
later. And so if you're watching this later on and you've made it to this point, well, I mean, cool. Hopefully you at least watch some of the rest of the video. But yeah, this has been a time. Definitely, I think our longest New Year's wrap up that we've done.
Because usually we're trying to like cram it in before New Year's. So.
Yeah. Well, even then, we usually there isn't as much that we cover for the New Year's wrap up that we've wanted to dive as deep into
That's
as
fair.
we did this year. Like I feel like
very
this year
true.
had a lot of stuff that was deep dive worthy, rather than just we got to talk about it because shit happened.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I agree.
there we go. And of course,
Should we do the where to find us and thank
Yep.
you and stuff?
if you have not already, please do not forget to like us and follow over on Facebook.
Deface of books.
Do not forget to, Mike, like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell over on YouTube.
The thumbs up's also is kind of cool for YouTube. Yeah.
The like is always great. Subscribe definitely helpful, but the notification bell in particular is very, very important because YouTube, while great, is not always fantastic at letting you know when we have posted a new video or are going live. So the notification bell
It happens.
is going to make sure that you get all of our notifications whenever we go live, whenever we post a non-video piece, whenever we post a video piece, whenever we do whatever on here. And of course, if you want to check out more of our content but do not have time for the videos, you can always
Got a nice long
catch
commute.
you can always catch the audio of all of our live streams, interviews, and other fun little things over at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher because, of course,
All the places all the time.
Yeah, basically.
All right.
Something like that.
But yes, that is where we're at, and
That's it.
because we've gone long enough, thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us. Until next time, as always, I'm Brad. That's Mike. This is Kyla.
Whatever.
We're Dallas Geek.
Whatever.
And see ya.
Goodbye.